What?
And now we wait. Now we wait to see if the YouTube preamble has begun. Jordan will tell me if the YouTube preamble has begun. Otherwise, I'm
I
gonna.
see it there, but it says upcoming. Oh, it changed to live. Oh, I see us. Do I hear her?
The YouTube preamble has begun. Excellent. Welcome to the YouTube preamble, everyone. Preamble has begun. This is where we test the settings.
I haven't.
I
see it there. I hear me. Okay, we're good.
It changed.
We're good.
We are good. We are golden. All right.
We're Golden Bay time.
We're golden. We're in golden. No, that was last week, Jordan. Golden Bay time was last week. We're in Rotten Tomatoes City today. Rotten Tomatoes.
Right. But I feel like that also works for this week because those would probably have been. I probably could have chosen those for this.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Anyway, let's start the show. In 3, 2, 1. This podcast is brought to you by the Arete Media Pantheon. Please head to aretemedia.org, where you can check out plenty of podcasts from our great friends. And if you would like to start your own podcast, you can contact them there and they will help you with that. So you can go to aretemedia.org. That's ARETE media.org. On with the show, Jordan?
On with the show.
So, welcome to the, I guess a little bit late Spur of the Moment podcast, everyone. I am your host, Justin Spurr, and as always, I'm joined by a very equally sniffly, it's the incomparable Jordan, everyone. He can't compare it to how, yeah, so, fun fact, we both got sick this week. One of us may have got the other one sick. Who's to say who got sick? Who's to say who might have done what? But that means you're gonna see. You're gonna hear some sniffling. You're gonna hear some sneezing. You might hear some coughing, and you may see, if you're watching live on YouTube, some going for the water. Just to give y'all a heads up, that's what's coming this week. But this week, I'm going to start with one of my favorite segments we don't get to do very often, comment response time, everybody, because we got some fun comments on our Transformers 1 video, where that's coming up first. But then after that, we have the news, including there's a Predator game, apparently, which I'm curious what that is. There's a RoboCop TV show. Deadpool and Wolverine are shooting for some Oscars. There's a Bane and Deadpool movie coming. I don't know if that's Bane and Deadpool, sorry. Bane and Deathstroke movie coming, but I don't know if that's together or separate. We're gonna talk about that. Velma's sticking it out, and then after that, we are gonna be talking about some movies that, as Jordan put it, Rotten Tomatoes has deemed bad, and we are gonna be asking the question: is it actually rotten? Some of them are. Some of them are. Anyway,
a number of them are.
Maybe probably more than most, but let's jump into comment reading time, comment response time. And we got a comment from appropriately named Update Dude, who wanted to tell us that the T-Cogs have been around for almost 40 years. You know, the cogs that allow them to transform? That is apparently very much a part of their backstory. Yeah, that's how they transform. It's apparently built into them. So it's a thing that's been around in the franchise.
So I guess in the Transformers universe, that's what would differentiate them from other robots from different planets is
I figure,
those robots don't have the T-Cog.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, the background apparently, there's several episodes in the original show where it's MacGuffin. And the background of this movie is littered with all sorts of Transformers references. Apparently, even Steve, the robot the little robot that Bumblebee has, even he is an actual Transformer from Transformers.
Really?
Yeah, there's an actual toy called Transforming Steve from Accounting Toy. It's just a bot, but it turns from a bot to a stapler. So it technically counts.
That's funny.
Yeah. So that makes it even more of a love letter to Transformers, and then which made me appreciate the movie just that much more. I'm like that. I really appreciate that. And then our second comment comes from Somkyat_Alex and who commented that it was the first time watching us, and we gave him from the video, which is just the review of Transformers 1, that we had only ever watched the Bane movies, and that was our only real experience with the franchise.
Oh, no.
and that Bumble or that there was all sorts of history that we were missing out on. To which I said, what I learned last week was I would qualify myself maybe more passively familiar than like intimately familiar, because obviously there's a shit ton of stuff in the comics that I just don't know.
Like I would say that I'm a casual fan. I grew up with the cartoons. I watched the original 1985 movie. My dad collected the toys, so like I was exposed to a great number of it. But like, did I read all of the comics? No,
no. I haven't read all of the comics. No,
but
I haven't seen all the shows.
But to be fair, that's the same with Marvel, where it's like I've experienced a great amount of Marvel stuff, but I haven't read every single comic.
Yeah. But I did say that. I said we grew up with like the Beast Machines, Beast Wars, all sorts of shows, and he retracted and rescinded his initial comment by saying that would be good to explore some of the comics. There's a lot of good stuff in there, which I know
that's fair.
I've heard that those IDW comics are very, very, very good. I have heard that.
I mean, I know that there's one that they did where it was a crossover between Back to the Future and Transformers. I'd love to read that one.
Yeah,
that'd be funny. They had to the point where they even had the toy where they had the DeLorean and the clock tower were both ones that transformed.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. I remember that. Yeah. So with that, that's it. Those are the two comments. I thought those were fun. They were fun comments.
Yeah. Thank you for the comments. People keep giving comments, and we will keep responding to them as long as they're appropriate.
As long as they don't have dirty words. I'm kidding. They can have dirty words in them. Anyway,
what I say. Appropriate.
Now it's time to do the news. Let's jump straight into the news. That is a deep cut for YouTube people. Let's just jump into it.
All right, Philly, calm down.
I'm gonna Philly D.
No.
Anyway,
stop right there.
These what, Jordan?
These robot nuts.
For the audio listeners, I just did a bad dance move. Anyway,
I'm shaking my head.
Jordan is shaking his head at me disapprovingly. He looks very disapproving. For all you audio listeners, he cannot disapprove enough. Anyway, so Jordan, they're apparently working on a Bane and Deathstroke movie, and I'm like,
okay,
why?
Here's my question, and this is an obvious question. Does it have Batman in it?
Jordan, I think you know it doesn't have Batman in it.
Then who fucking cares?
Right? Like okay. No, I want on one condition. It specifically, I mean, fuck it, I'll take it live action, but it has to be the Bane from the Harley Quinn show. And he's just sassy as fuck.
I mean,
Bane! It has to be. It's just purely a comedy.
Maybe, but
it's a buddy comedy. That's the only way I'm interested in that. Otherwise, who gives a rat's ass?
No. You would think they would have learned from Sony and all the Spider-Man-less villain movies.
Right? Which do badly and everyone hates. It's with the exception of Venom. The only one of those that people like is Venom, which, by the way, we are definitely getting Venom with wings. And we speculated whether or not we're getting Venom with wings, but there's no way we're not getting Venom with wings.
I mean, probably.
See, everyone's all like, oh, is Spider-Man going to be in that movie? Like, is Spider-Man? Who gives a shit? He's not. He never is. They always tease he is. He never is. What I want to know is, will Venom with wings show up?
Yeah, he probably will.
Because I want to how I know he might show up. This is big time Venom theory time, Jordan.
How?
Because that ability is tied to the null.
Oh, then yeah, probably.
That's where he initially got it in the comic. Same thing with the Venom has likely. Venom now he uses chains, like he can shoot out chains. That apparently comes from that arc as well. So apparently Deadpool and Wolverine, they're pushing for Oscars, Jordan. They're going on a for-your consideration campaign.
I mean, there's no way that's going to happen, right?
So,
I love that movie, but the Oscars are full of snobs, and superhero movies don't win. Okay,
so yeah, look, Disney is looking to push blah 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 blah. Considering at the Golden Globes as well, which they will definitely win Golden Globes. There's no way they won't. Every major award show. Oh, come on, tell me what the They're not going to tell me. It doesn't. This article doesn't tell me. I saw a
doesn't
story earlier, but like
I'm
one of the
not
things, like they're putting them up for best actor and
I'm
stuff like
not a
that.
big Oscars guy, but aren't the Oscars usually full of pretentious people?
I mean, they're getting a little more receptive to mainstream stuff, but nah, Deadpool I don't see doing
I don't
anything at
see
the Oscars.
Deadpool.
Maybe
No,
special effects. Maybe special effects. It might do something for special effects, but
I'd be surprised
it
if it
might
won
get
anything.
nominated for special effects. I don't think it'll win for special effects.
I mean, nominated is different than winning.
Yeah. Um.
Like, do I believe that maybe Disney will pay the Oscar people enough money for them to be like, okay, we'll nominate it?
That's really
Yeah,
about.
Disney is rich. They probably can afford to do that. Do I think that it's gonna win? No.
No. Well, just trying to think of like special effects wise, what would it go up against? And I just trying to think. My brain always struggles to remember what came out last year.
Hmm.
This year, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. There's nothing really that comes to mind that's like really like this was a real. Well, Megalopolis maybe. No, but everyone thinks that movie's terrible. Yeah, I honestly don't know. They're not gonna get in for like best actor or like best picture though. There's no way. But for Golden Globes are like a bit more easy. Not easy. I don't know how to.
Forgiving.
Yeah, they like the mainstream stuff a bit more. But to be fair, the Oscars has been pressured to accept the mainstream stuff more and more in recent years. And it's like, guys, that's not really what the Oscars is for. The Oscars is really more to like sell movies nobody's ever heard of to normal people. Like that, like back in the day,
That's a, that's a very nice way of putting it's for the pretentious movies that nobody wants to
nobody
watch.
wants to watch. Yeah, it's because it's to make them money. It's a whole game of like they know that Deadpool and Wolverine is going to make $1 billion, so they don't need to convince you to watch it. But like yeah, like Milk for example is the one Dad always goes to, or my dad always goes to. Is that no one would have seen that if you didn't hear it's Oscar nominated. Like that Oscar nominated, I'm not so much anymore because everyone hates the Oscars now. But like at a point, that would make money. That level of prestige, it would make people watch it, whether or not it was good or not. Because there's a lot of Oscar
Yeah.
Best Picture movies that are just not very good. So yeah, we talked about this at the beginning of the week. The Sonic X Shadow Generations. That game's looking fun. There's
Yeah.
that DLC pack that's coming out that lets you get to be Keanu Reeves Shadow, which is fun.
Yeah, it's a crossover of some sort,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
is it's actually voiced by Keanu, which is cool.
yeah.
I want that game, but and I'd like to get the pre-order bonuses for it, but $66 for a game that I've already played on multiple consoles is
Yeah,
a steep price.
unless that shadow bit is like really, really in depth, I don't know, man. It just
That
doesn't
makes
interest
it a
me.
steep price.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. It's one of those ones where hey man, if it pops up as a pre PlayStation Plus one, I will go ham.
I mean, I'll probably eventually buy it. It's just a question of when.
Yeah, it really is. So apparently, Jordan, they are making a RoboCop TV show.
Again?
Yeah, and I'm trying to.
Because that went so well the last time.
Well, the question is, how do they do it? Like, apparently, the log line of the show is a giant tech conglomerate collaborates with the local police department to introduce a technologically advanced enforcer to combat rising crime. A police officer who's part man, part machine. Part man, part machine. Sorry, I thought it was going to continue. So it looks like it's a remake. They're starting from the ground up. So the only way you do this is if you make it, you put it on HBO and you make it like the television equivalent to R-rated.
I mean, yeah,
Make it bloody.
Or they do what they did last time and fail ultimately, and try to make it kid friendly, and it doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine they'll do, but yeah, I mean, you can. I don't dislike the Michael Keaton one. I just hate the or the remake. I just hate the design of his suit. If he looked right, that movie would bother me way less. I mean, there's elements of it I don't love, but in my old age, I'm more forgiving of adaptational changes.
You're right. Him being the correct color would help, but he's also not RoboCop in that movie. He has too many memories and he's too human.
Well, that's where I'm saying that I would forgive most of those problems if the suit looked right. At the very least, I'd probably be more forgiving to it, I think, than I currently am.
Maybe, but I have a hard time saying I would. I just
Um,
want them to do a faithful adaptation.
I mean, yeah, really lean into the satire, make it dark and grimy, and like have fake commercials and stuff. Like, yeah, go back to the
Yeah,
original, make it bloody and gross. Use squibs, don't
yeah.
use CGI blood, but make it bloody. But it's a TV show. But is it a TV show or is it like a streaming show? Because those aren't the same things.
No, those aren't the same things. The streaming show is basically a movie.
Yeah, okay, you want to do a 6 episode movie with like a really bloody modern RoboCop? I am down for that.
I need to see more. I need to see like a trailer or like something
Yeah.
before I can really judge. But on concept, I just look at it and go like they tried to make a show and it didn't work.
Yeah, that was during that era when they were trying to market RoboCop to kids for some reason.
And so that's where I say with this, it depends. Like,
Family friendly character.
are they gonna try and do the family friendly thing again and ultimately have it not work, or are you gonna go back to the roots and actually do what it's intended to be? I need to hear more and I need to see more before I can give my final verdict.
Yeah, fair enough. No, I'm interested. I'm interested. I will check it out when it comes out because I do enjoy me some RoboCop. So Jordan, Velma. Remember our old segment? What's going on with Velma?
What's going on with Velma?
Are you okay, Velma? Are they hurting you?
Velma,
are you okay?
Has Mindy Kaling irrevocably damaged you?
Are you okay, Velma? Yeah, they're doing a Halloween special apparently, which takes place after Halloween or after the second season. So they've got screen caps here where she's still a ghost because she died. She got killed by Scrappy at the end of the last season. But this synopsis is like there's a vengeful spirit, and around the sexy annual Halloween party, Velma and the gang must face their fears if they all want to make it out alive, which implies that somehow Velma is alive. What's going on with Velma, Jordan? What's going on there?
I just don't have the energy for this. Velma is a painful show. Yes. Make it go away. Make it go away, Justin. You exclusively
I cannot
have the power to make that happen. I need you to just erase it from history. We need to have a Mandela effect where people question whether that show ever existed.
All right.
You need to make this happen. You need to go on the internet and start the rumor that this show never existed and like change history.
So okay. Moving on.
Because she died and now she's not alive. Like, so what is this a retcon? What is this? What's going on with Velma? Stop it.
Stop it.
Stop it.
Stop it.
Stop it.
Stop it, Velma. So
stop it.
Moving on. They're making Paddington 4, Jordan. Apparently, it's already in the works. They're already working on that.
Paddington 4? There's a third one?
Yeah, it's the one where he goes to Peru to find the. We talked about it when you talked about the first one.
Man, there's a lot of movies that. So here's something that as I was looking for movies, which it's funny that this popped up, but I didn't realize that there was a third Chris Pine Star Trek movie.
Yeah, we've seen it.
Have we?
Yeah, we have absolutely seen it. Yeah.
Are you sure?
Oh yeah.
I know we saw the second one, Star Trek Into Darkness.
Star Trek Into Darkness.
Did we watch the third one? There's a third one, and I saw that, and I was like, "There's a third one."
Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Wait.
Now I think I'm gonna have to go watch it.
Is the third one poorly rated?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Yeah, no.
Just mostly as I was looking for stuff on Netflix, I saw it there as a recommended movie.
Yeah, no.
And I was like, oh my god, there's a third one. Yeah. I didn't know there was a third one.
You know the big Star Trek lover in our life?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we watched it with him.
I remember watching the second one. I have no memory of that third one.
In fact, I think we watched that one in VIP. Pretty sure.
That's where I say I think I'm gonna have to just on my own time watch that third one.
To be fair, it's not nearly as interesting. It's I mean, it would be probably maybe although a friend of the show, Jake, he says that it's not good, and he's obviously my like current go-to guy on Star Trek. So like, my co-host on the Final Frontier. That's how I should have said it. Yeah, he says it's bad, but I've heard other Star Trek fans say it's the most like accurate to actual Star Trek as compared to the other two. So I don't know. But they're also apparently making a Paddington. The Paddington 3. We got away from Paddington 3.
Sorry, yeah.
He goes back to Peru, and the aunt has disappeared.
Yeah.
I definitely sent the trailer to you. I think. Pretty sure I did.
Interesting. So what's the fourth one about?
I have no idea. They haven't really said. It's just that it's in the work, and they're making a TV show, which makes me wonder: is it going to be animated or live action? He's an expensive character.
Yeah, I mean, but by that same token, if they did a show, I see it being like Ted, where all the budget goes towards the character, and the rest of it is cheaply paid actors.
Well, no, I mean, in the case of Ted, it's the rest of them were on his other shows at least once. The cousin on Ted, it was on Orville. The guy who plays John was on. I think he was on Orville as well, and he was on Family Guy. It's got
right, but we're talking about Paddington.
Scott Grimes.
I'm saying Paddington would have cheap actors.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Well, I mean, yeah, that's the question: is are they going to get the people from the movies, the family back? Who knows? I mean, it depends, I guess, on the kind of show it is. Like, if it's like a Knuckles, for example, and it gets the budget, maybe. But I mean, the only actor from the movies to come back. No, I guess the main guy was also.
It also depends on whether or not this show is the same Paddington from the movies, or whether they're making like a new
from the ground up.
Thing.
Yeah, I have no idea. I honestly have no idea. I don't know.
I like those movies.
I like those movies.
I'm down for as many of them as they want to make.
Right. Sort of the same way.
Where it's like they're fun, harmful, or unharmful, inoffensive movies, which are just they're just fun.
I've never met a person who didn't like those movies. Like, everyone loves Paddington 2 for some reason. It's the weirdest thing.
So like, yeah, no, I'm down. That's sort of my final thoughts on that. Is, fuck it, I'm down.
Yeah, I'm down. So Sonic Central 2024 happened. I guess that's where they do big Sonic announcements. And I'm just sort of coming over this article about some of them, which none of them are very interesting. But one of them is just that there's a mobile game coming out called Sonic Rumble. It's like a mobile party game. New existing Sonic mobile games are getting updates.
Cool.
They're doing Chows. They're doing an animated 8-episode web series called Chow Tales, which is going to be about the Chows.
I mean, I didn't realize anybody was asking for that, but that's cool.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, they're doing DC X Sonic. So yeah, Sonic is you mentioned this to me.
Yeah.
You got Shadow as Batman, Sonic as the Flash, Amy as Wonder Woman, Silver as Green Lantern, Tails as Cyborg, Tails as Cyborg, which I like all those.
And Knuckles is Superman.
Oh, see, this doesn't say Knuckles as Superman.
I saw a picture where it was Knuckles as Superman.
I like all of these except for Sonic as the Flash. I mean, I get it. It just feels like a basic. But then again, like, I suppose Tails as Cyborg is equally basic. So.
Yeah, I would have. See, I get having Shadow as Batman, but I would have had him be Anti-Flash and Sonic be Flash.
Yeah. I mean, Reverse Flash, you mean?
Yeah.
I got the idea they're all supposed to be superheroes, though. But that'd be fun. That'd be fun as well. And that's pretty much it for that. I watched I know Jordan did as well. We both watched the first episode of
the Shadow animation.
The Shadow anime, which looks really fun, and I'm excited to see the rest of those. I think there's 6 episodes, right?
The one which is leading up to Sonic Generations, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Sonic Shadow X Generations 57, 27, 92.
Yeah, I think at the start of this year when they first announced Sonic X Shadow, and I said, is this going to be the year of Shadow? Kind of has been.
Well, I think that's kind of the idea of why they put this out and why Shadow is in the movie is it's supposed to be the year of Shadow.
I love that synergy, baby.
Especially with the fact that they're having a full-on crossover between the movie and the games.
Yeah.
It very much feels like it's supposed to be a synergy thing.
Oh, for sure.
But no, that anime is beautiful, and so just from a lore perspective, I find it fascinating that they're bringing Emerald into like the main continuity, right? Because he was from a Sonic Game Boy Advance game, which I never played, but like I'm aware of.
Yeah, the only
I know of it.
Game Boy Advance games I ever played were like Sonic Advance. Like, that's kind of it.
Yeah, there was another one that they made, which I think was also a Game Boy Advance one, which was Brotherhood, Dark
Yeah,
Brotherhood, which was like a full-on RPG.
yeah.
Which,
I
like,
heard that game's
if
alright.
we're talking games, games like that I would love if a company would full-on remake.
Yeah, it's definitely one of them.
I would love if they would full-on remake that for the main console, full 3D,
Yeah,
like
I would.
big budget.
I still want to. I still want to play. I mean, I so upset. I switched, stopped working because I still want to play Mario RPG.
I mean, there's a number of games that I want to. One day I'll buy another Switch.
So moving on to Dragon Ball Daima news. We kind of missed this, I think, a couple weeks ago. So I'm just gonna lump it into this. The trailer for the dub came out because I think it was just a rumor; they hadn't confirmed it yet.
Yeah,
And
I watched that. I sent it to you.
yeah, Stephanie Naldani is back, which is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, she does her. She's not quite. She's older. The voice is not quite the same, but it still sounds good.
It's similar enough that I'm like, I still was like, hey, that's the voice I know, kind of.
That is objectively the correct Goku voice. So that just makes me hope that she's just back as Kid Goku now. So we don't have to do the. I don't mind. For whatever reason, she doesn't bother me as Gohan. I don't know why. And I know for you, you don't like her generally, but
the new one, you mean?
Yeah, the new one. It doesn't bother me for Gohan, but for Kid Goku, I don't know why. It needs to be Stephanie Naldani. But
no,
I also like her as.
Once the voice changed, those characters never sounded right to me, and it bothered me.
I've never been. I don't love it. Like again, she also did Gohan back then as well. She was Gohan and Kid Gohan. Actually, fun fact about her: she was Kid Gohan first, and then they asked her to do Dragon Ball, and that's how she became Kid Goku. She was like,
interesting.
They were like, "Can you do Goku?" And she went, I don't know. And they were like, how I saw an interview where she sort of described it as like, she kind of realized like he's just like kind of like Gohan, like they're kind of similar. And I think it works ultimately because obviously in Japanese, Goku generally and Gohan are both played by the same voice actress. So I think it works on that level as well. And the dub generally looks really fun. I'm quite excited it looks good. It genuinely looks good. I'm actually excited for it.
I'm tentatively interested. I saw one person in one of the comments say, do you, and I'll posit this question to you as the Dragon Ball expert that you are.
I mean, we're co-experts, but I'll take it.
I saw someone, but I value your opinion.
I mean, that's totally fair. I'm just saying I would also regard you as a fellow expert. So, but go on, it's fine.
I saw someone comment, do you think this is going to be their soft reboot of GT? And we'll see some of the elements from GT, such as, and this is me adding on to this comment. Do you think we might see some of the elements from GT pop up in this show, a la maybe they'll do their version of Super Saiyan 4?
No. I think this series is going to be way more grounded, close to Dragon Ball, mostly hand to hand. You probably won't see him go over Super Saiyan stuff. If I had to guess, but I would love my mind to be changed. I don't think so.
Because they're going to the demon realm in this one, right? And that presents a lot of opportunities for them to put in transformations that can only be done in the demon realm, which lets them do a bunch of stuff and not have to explain why they can't do it in Super, because they could only do it when they were in the demon realm.
Yeah. Well, I would say no. I don't think this is gonna concern itself with the timeline of things too much because I think if anything, because they're going to the demon realm, my mind didn't go to Dragon Ball GT. My mind went to maybe this is where they fold in stuff from Xenoverse into actual canon.
I mean, true, but if that's the case, then that does allow them to do
whatever they want.
Super Saiyan 4 and all this other stuff as well.
Or even Dragon Ball Heroes. Like Jake has made the point in other things where he's like, yeah. Sorry,
I muted myself there so you could keep talking.
Oh, okay, fair. I thought the mic cut out. I was like, oh no, the mic peaked. It's fine. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen, folks. It's gonna happen. Anyway, what was I saying? Or Dragon Ball Heroes. Like Jake is like, oh, Dragon Ball Heroes kind of allows for the idea of there being separate timelines and whatnot. And I'm like, I could see this being the period where maybe we see what's his face, the bad guy. bad guy from Fu or the bad guy from the first game. Die starts with a D.
Oh, yeah. The girl and the
The
and the
girl
robot.
and the robot. Mira.
Hold on, Mira and Kira. Mira and so hold on, I'm gonna look it
Something.
up.
Yeah, you could bring them in, and that would connect it to because they're both characters and both heroes, and that demon realm stuff. It's so interesting that they're introducing it because that so much of Heroes involves the demon realm. Like those demon realm characters, there's a ton of them in Dragon Ball Heroes, and it'll be interesting to see if they show up in this.
Then and it would allow them also Demigra is who you're talking about.
Demigra, that's who. I knew it started with a D.
He's the ultimate bad one, but that's not the one that I was talking about. But I think they're Mira and Toa. I think is what their names are.
Yeah. That sounds correct.
And it would allow them to bring back Dabura.
Yes, it would. We'll save that for. We'll save that one for now. Exactly. Well, that's my question: is are they gonna which are they gonna do? Which if they do bring back Dabura, which ending would they give him? Like the one where he goes to heaven and he's happy, or the one where I think we never see him again? Like I think
that's a great question. There's also I know that they that this show is bringing in a new set of Dragon Balls. So is it going to be like a Demon Realm set of Dragon Balls?
I don't like that. I really don't like that unless they really explain it.
Because they always have to have their MacGuffin.
So wait. There's 3 sets of Dragon Balls concurrently on Earth at the same time. Please explain this. That's all I'm asking. Please explain this.
3. There's the normal set.
Black Star Dragon Balls and these.
Okay, well, let's be fair here. Technically speaking, GT's not canon.
No, it's canon. Counts.
I mean, it's canon to me and you, but technically speaking,
if it's anime,
not canon.
It's part of the anime. It's part of canon as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, but technically speaking,
nah, I will not. I do not accept that.
Then there's only 2 on Earth, and that's this new one, and
regardless, I still don't like it.
The normal, but no, I would have had it. I see. I don't know. I need to see what it is, but I would have had it where this new set doesn't exist on Earth and exists in the Demon Realm, and I would have played with that.
Yeah. I don't know. So the other interesting thing is
you could have it where like Dabura somehow comes back from Earth and he had discovered the Dragon Balls when he was there, and like he creates his own version of the Demon Realm Dragon Balls, and you could have played with it somehow. I don't know. I need to see what the show does and where it goes.
Will this be the final Dragon Ball thing?
Well, whether or not it will, I'm going to throw this question at you. Do you think it should be?
Oh, man, I like Dragon Ball, so it's part of me is always going to be like no, but yeah, a little. Well, I don't know. I do kind of want to see Toyotaro do the anime because he's been doing the manga. He's the guy who draws the manga, and he supposedly is officially Akira Toriyama's official successor. Like apparently Akira Toriyama named him as his successor.
Because the honest answer of whether or not it will be, as long as it makes money, they will keep that truck rolling.
Yeah, I've heard people say that they don't think that Super's going to ever come back.
I mean, that might not come back.
I tend to think that might never come back. But like, I don't hate his villains. Like, not all of them anyway. The only one I really hated was Black Frieza, and that's only because I hated Golden Frieza. So, like, Frieza's a character where he at this point needs to be redeemed on some level. It's for him to continue to be interesting to me. The fact that he's come back and he's got a new form and he's big, bad, and strong now, who gives a shit? Like we've already seen him beat him twice. Like, who cares?
For me, with Frieza, you have to essentially turn him into Shadow, where it's like he's not necessarily good, but like he'll do the right thing for selfish means. For selfish reasons.
I will give Dragon Ball Super like one compliment in that the most interesting he is in the Tournament of Power. Like that's the most interesting Frieza is. After that, no, I'm not really. Well, he went to the hyperbolic time chamber and trained for 10 years, so he got Black Frieza. I don't care. But also, I like Moro. I think Moro is interesting, and I Granola. I quite like them. I quite like those arcs. So I'm interested to see those become anime. So like, yeah, I'm willing to see his ideas.
I mean, I would be more interested
True.
if they scrapped Stupor, didn't bring it back as an anime, and basically were like, yeah, the end of Z is no longer canon, and do something in that time
Yeah,
period.
just do something after Z and be like, this is the end of.
Essentially, make us a new GT, a
Yeah,
better GT, a stronger GT,
built it and keep
and
Super Saiyan 4.
bring back Super Saiyan 4 because I love Super Saiyan 4.
I guarantee, like the Super Saiyan 4 will, because you notice it's the like most enduring part of Dragon Ball GT. They will find a way
That
to make that canon one way or
that
the other.
that and the Shadow Dragons, those are the two
Yeah,
most enduring
and
things.
even then,
Which is
not all
why
of them.
which is why I say I the Shadow Dragons showing up in some form when they're in the demon realm, I don't inherently. I wouldn't be
Yeah,
surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if some version of them did show up.
maybe, yeah, maybe, I don't know. And to be fair, the only Shadow Dragon that has any other than maybe occasionally Sin Shenron is Omega Shenron. That's kind of it.
No, the three that are most enduring are Nova, Shin, and Omega.
Yeah, but I mean, they're the same thing. Nova and Shin are the same thing.
I mean, yeah, they're a pair.
They're palette swap versions of each other, so that's not
But
really.
I
The other
I
ones
more
never
mean
make it
that.
into anything, though.
To be fair, Shin only endures because he's a palette swapped of Nova. Nova endures because he's the quote unquote good one.
Yeah, pretty much. And then, yeah, obviously
He's
Omega.
yeah, and let's be fair here. That character, I like that character, but that character is really just Piccolo.
He's really just Piccolo. He's Piccolo, but way less interesting.
Yeah,
Um,
Piccolo without the years of development.
pretty much. And
But no,
then
the Shadow Dragons as a concept, like the idea of evil Dragon Balls, I don't think is inherently uninteresting.
yeah, oh yeah, no, exactly. It's
So
just
like
the execution's bad.
that's where I say like if in this new show or some future show they redid that idea, that concept, and we got like an even better version of it, that would be dope.
Jordan, I need you to know a rare phenomenon that never happens on this show. I get to cut stories for time. That never happens. I was actually concerned we weren't going to have enough stories this week. But our final story is Wizards of Waverly Place, Beyond Waverly Place. The trailer came out. And it's given real Selena Gomez is only in the pilot vibes.
The David Henry Vanity Project.
It sure looks like really given those Selena Gomez is only in the pilot vibes. Just really.
I mean, let's be fair. She might also show up for like holiday specials, which bring the family together.
Maybe she's in like every third episode. She's not in every episode. There is absolutely no way. To be fair, it kind of looks like this trailer is mostly just scenes from the pilot. So maybe she's in more episodes. She's an executive producer on it, so like she's involved in it. But I saw someone say that the kid isn't her kid.
It just gives me the real Girl Meets World like Sean vibes, where it's like Sean, the guy, Daniel Fishel, Ryder Strong, and them. They were directors on a great number of episodes. But they didn't. Him specifically. He only showed up in like a handful for the first season.
But like I would say though, in the
so
context
it gives me those vibes.
I would say though, in the context of this analogy though, she's Topanga, so like she's an equal part in this. So she should be involved in this more. But who's to say she isn't? I'm just saying that trailer made it look like she's not in it. She's like barely in it. And it's really, especially when it cuts to the splash poster at the end and it's just David Henry and the kid back to back, and you're like, yeah, man, she doesn't look super involved in this. And as a friend pointed out, to be fair, she's currently doing another show, so maybe she can only be in this every once in a while. Who's to say? But I saw someone say that the kid isn't her kid.
It appears to be a kid that like an orphan or something that she found.
Yeah, that's kind of what. Well, I thought I once they said that, I'm like, oh no, now it's given like she that's why she's dropping her off. Like she's her teacher and she's failed because the weird hook of like she's gonna save the world. Why that? But yeah, it sort of seems like maybe she's like her teacher or something, or like that's why she's passing her off to Justin.
Certainly like her mentor, I would say.
But like all the jokes that Justin's doing, and he's just the dad from the first one. He's doing all the same jokes the dad did in the first one, and I'm like, it's just all right. All right.
Yeah,
I guess maybe my nostalgia for it isn't the same as it was for Boy Meets World. So like my tolerance for like this just kind of looks like the first one, but with new people and not nearly. But also to be fair, I really quite liked Raven's Home. That show's very funny, but maybe
I never watched that one.
Oh, I would recommend it. Like in terms of those Disney Channel shows, it's quite funny. Like Raven, it still got it. Like she's so funny, and the kids are funny, and it does a really excellent job of understanding that you're there to see Raven, and you're there to see Chelsea, and we don't talk about Eddie. Like we understand that's. Never mind. I thought maybe you'd get. He got weird. That's all you need to know.
Okay.
But yeah, that shows.
Fair, a lot of Disney kid stars go weird, so that's not inherently surprising.
Although to be fair, they cut Chelsea and the daughter out of the third season, which I've never seen, and then they move back to San Francisco, and then the dad becomes a main character. And then Chelsea's completely gone, and the woman who plays Chelsea is constantly like, "I'll talk about what happened when the NDA is up," and how she's like no longer friends with Raven. So yeah, she got fired apparently. But anyway, that show is, I think that show's quite good, and I think that show's funny, and I think that show understands like yeah, it needs to appeal to a new audience, but also there's a segment of the audience that is returning, and this is just like really counting on you to really like Justin, which most people don't. Like especially now. Like there was a trend there for a while where everyone was just hating Justin.
So here's my thing, and this is the reason why I'm not really that excited for the show. I was never really that big into Wizards of Waverly Place when it was like when I was the age range of which it was trying to appeal to. But even when I did watch the show, Justin's the bad guy.
He's very much the bad guy.
He's an unpleasant character in that show. So
especially towards the end of that series.
Yeah. So to make it where this show is kind of like all about him, no, that doesn't really do it for me.
Right?
At all. In any way. Like, at all.
Right?
So I just don't. It just comes across like, yeah, Wizards of Waverly Place is the one thing that he was known for, and he really wants to ride that as much and as far as he can.
Well, I mean, it's just because they've been asking about doing this thing forever, and I always got the vibe that they didn't like him. At least that's the vibe I get from the podcast, and like just his behavior surrounding this franchise, the fact that like he started his own React thing, not with them, and he's never gone on there. It just kind of seems like he was the one holding it back. So it's just interesting to me that him and Selena went, let's go do this thing, and like the dad's gonna be on it. So who knows? Who knows with Hollywood, man? Who knows? Speaking
who knows
of that,
what's going on behind the doors?
Yeah, behind the scenes. I couldn't think of a. Yeah, I don't have the energy to do a new ad spot, guys. So sponsorship section. It's just gonna be sponsored by the Final Frontier again. Seriously, I'm having a ton of fun over on that show. It's funny. Jake's nailing it with the thumbnails. He's nailing it with the edits. There was an edit in I think episode 2 has gone up at this point. There's an edit where I refer to William Shatner as a very moist man.
I don't like that. That's uncomfortable.
He's so sweaty, Jordan. He is so sweaty. It's so weird. It's absurdly funny. But there's a point where I say that, and Jake cuts to just William Shatner's sweaty face, and I literally spit out my water. Like it was so I died. I was like, that's where I went. I made a Facebook status afterwards, and I went, "Is it narcissistic to laugh at your own joke?" Like it's one of those bits, like one of those bits where I knew it was going to be funny in the edit, and it was gorgeous. I'm like. But no, I'm having a ton of fun over there where I'm learning stuff. If you want to see me learn stuff about a franchise I'm unfamiliar with, it's super fun. I'm going to play the trailer for it so I can blow my nose. Check it out. We'll be back in a minute.
The Final Frontier podcast. These are the voyages of Jake Boger and Justin Spurr. Our weekly mission to explore memories of Star Trek's strange new worlds, to recall the search for new life and new civilizations. To boldly go where no one has had the spare time to go before.
I don't know. I'm still learning the timing of the delay. And I don't know if we're back yet.
So the one thing that's funny with that ad spot is maybe you might want to cut out the end because it keeps saying that the first episode premieres September 8th.
Yeah, probably.
And I mean, we've long since passed that.
I know. Yeah, I know.
Makes me laugh every time I see it.
I don't know if we're back. Oh, we're back. Okay, good. It's funny because when we come back from black, it's just you clearing your throat. Like,
it's also funny because I can't hear the ad spot at all.
Oh,
so
no,
I just on my video I just see you headbanging to the music without any of the music playing. It's very funny.
That's so funny. But don't you have the stream open?
I have the stream open, but I don't have the music playing.
You can mute your mic and turn the volume on.
Sure, I could, but I've heard it.
No. I never get tired of it. It sounds good every time. It is worth the copyright strike I get every time I play it.
I just thought that was funny.
But yeah, I'm definitely gonna cut that into a short later. Anyway, welcome to the second half of the show, everybody. This week, we watched just a slew of movies that Rotten Tomatoes says are bad, and we're gonna answer the question: are they actually rotten? With the additional challenge of, I got
all
sick.
20% or lower.
I got sick midweek, and my brain is a soupy, foggy mess right now. So, this is going to be a game of how much can I remember about what I had to say about this movie. Here we go. Let's do some rapid fire, Jordan.
Okay. So the first one that I watched was the Eddie Murphy movie, 1,000 Words.
Yeah, I wanted to watch that. I was going to watch it, and then I saw you were watching it, and it was like,
The movie where they took a high energy man and were like, okay, you have to not talk.
Yeah, that's pretty much every bad review for that movie was pretty much it's like the thing he's known for. Why would you do this?
But that's kind of the point. But I did have the thought today. So if you could take that movie and put a different actor in place of Eddie Murphy, who would you choose? I have a very specific answer, but I'm interested to see what you have to say.
Like contemporarily, like from the same,
it's the same script, it's the same movie, but you're changing the main actor, you're changing the lead.
No, but the lead I can choose. Can it be from any time?
Sure, let's say that because that'll make it fun.
My dream one would be Chris Farley.
Interesting.
Because you want someone who's like really big and can do real big physical comedy. Because that's my thing with Eddie Murphy in that movie. I've never seen it, but I've seen clips of it. He's not a physical comedy guy. His whole thing is he was an impressionist. He was a verbal guy. So you need someone who's really good at physical comedy, and he's the first guy I went to.
Mine would be, and maybe this is a basic bitch answer, but mine would be Robin Williams.
I mean, that would have been my second choice because he's also really good at. That was honestly the first place my mind went. But then I went, Chris Farley would be really great at it, though.
I just think that the movie would be a lot stronger if you had someone like Robin Williams. Robin Williams.
You need a high energy physical comedian. I absolutely agree with that.
Like, it's so the thing with this movie
It's all
is
about physical language, right? So I get what you mean.
I don't think it's bad per se. And that's kind of the theme for a lot of my movies for
Per
this week is
se.
I don't think they're bad inherently. I think they're just kind of average.
I mean,
So
yeah.
like the fact that they're all rated below 20% on so like with this one, I don't remember what it's rated on Rotten Tomatoes, but I think it was like 13% or something like that. But I don't think it's that bad. I think it's just cut and paste, copy and paste, Hollywood.
Yeah.
Like
But sometimes that's
there's
what
just
makes a movie that bad, where it's just I think the biggest sticking point with critics on this one was it's Eddie Murphy and he doesn't talk. That's dumb.
I mean, and I can see that argument, but it kind of makes the most because like the thing for me is there's a good chunk of the movie where it is him doing his typical talking, and so the point where like where he kind of stops talking and finally does that, like it makes it more powerful
Yeah.
because because it is a guy who is known for throwing his words around. Like the weight of the movie is supposed to be words have meaning and words are powerful. And so when he finally gets to the point where like he stops talking, it kind of it makes it mean more
I mean, fair enough. Fair enough.
because
Hey, it's all about whether or not it
because
works for you,
it's
right?
because it's a guy who's known for talking. The point of it being like he has to stop. To me, it makes it mean more than like if you had um like an Adam Sandler who's not known for his words.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's a little more now, but yeah, I do get your point.
You know what I'm saying, though.
Yeah, I do know what you're
Um,
saying. Okay.
so the question of do I agree with the Rotten Tomato score? Because I think that's the through line that we're doing this week.
Yeah.
Um, I would have rated it a little bit higher.
Interesting. What would you have given it on a scale of 0% to 100%? Where does it
Well,
fall?
being that I don't actually remember what they rated it, I think it was 13, but I don't actually remember. I probably I'd put it in like the 35 to 40%.
So still rotten. It's still rotten.
Still rotten. Like it's
Still
still not
rotten.
like the greatest
Still
film
rotten.
ever, but I just think it deserves a little like the fact that like if the main sticking point that a lot of people have is that it's Eddie Murphy and that he doesn't talk, my challenge to that opinion or my argument would be, yeah, that's the point.
Yeah, but to their point, their comeback would be, yeah, but that, as you always say, it's a bad point.
But I don't think that it is.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't think that it is. I think that it kind of is what makes this movie what it is. And you either at the bottom line of it is I guess you're either gonna like that or you're gonna hate it, and I don't hate it.
All right, fair enough. But you still rated it. To be fair though, the hill to get above rotten is 60%. I'm not sure if you know that.
No, I don't do Rotten Tomatoes.
So 60%, 60% and higher is fresh, considered fresh.
Okay.
And then
okay.
and then I think like there's another percentage higher than that. It's like I think it's like 80 to 100% is like even better than that. I cannot remember all I know is 60% and lower is rotten. So moving on, my first one is a movie I watched as a child. And the thing this week is I watched a few movies I watched as a kid, and it made me hate my child self for having liked this because it made me feel stupid. But this first movie is called Three Ninjas High Noon at Mega Mountain. With
I have vague memories of that one.
Yes, it's got Hulk Hogan in it. He gets top billing, and as near as I can tell, it's the third movie in a franchise, and the movie felt very like Disney Channel. Like as near as I can tell, I mean, if it's got Hulk Hogan in it, I assume it went theatrical, but it felt very. So this is the rough plot of this thing. So there's the three ninjas who I briefly read up on like the first movie where it's like they fight. They go to their grandpa's house for the summer, and he teaches them karate. And so in the first movie, they like fight criminals, I guess. And so in this third one, they all don't want to be ninjas anymore. Well, the two older ones don't want to be ninjas anymore. And the one kid still wants to be a ninja, so they go to this theme park, the titular Mega Mountain, to meet Don. I don't remember what his character's name. Something Dragon, and he's Hulk Hogan. And because and this is such a funny thing about Hulk Hogan, Jake, correct me if I'm wrong on this one. If you see this, I might make this into a short. Jake, correct me if I'm wrong on this. There was a period of time where Hulk Hogan was really ashamed of the fact that he had a bald spot. Like, really ashamed of it. So he wore a bandana or he wore a wig. And there's a storyline in WCW where I guess where he joins NWO, which I'm sure you're familiar with. But there's a storyline, I guess.
He goes heel.
He goes
right?
heel,
he
yeah.
goes bad guy.
And there's a point of that storyline where he's bald. And so for this movie, he's wearing a wig. So there's a scene where he like takes off the wig and hangs it on a hook. And I tell you that to tell you the plotline of this thing is that these criminals decide, these terrorists, one of which is what's his face? You know, Ernest? Like Ernest goes stupid.
Yeah, I think so.
Jim Varney. Him and this woman take over this theme park. Like they take over it. They took over the control room of this theme park and ransom the theme park's owner. That if he doesn't pay them like a certain amount of money, they will like have people like on the rides, like have the rides go dangerous and then like hurt people, and then he'll get sued. So they want yeah. And so then it turns out, because I haven't seen previous movies, I don't know if this is a plot point in previous movies, but the three ninjas' dad works for the FBI. And
okay,
but the three
checks out.
So the three ninjas just end up fighting and then there's this subplot where the main bad chick has like three bumbling nephews because it's a movie from the 90s. And they're all various shapes and sizes and they're all silly. And yeah, the kids fight with karate, and some of it is believable, some of it's not. There's some shots where it's like, yeah, that's very clearly a small stunt double. And it's not very good, Jordan. The main plot of it doesn't really, as you could tell, is way too convoluted and doesn't make any sense. There's a point at the end where like she blows or sets a bomb to blow up the theme park. There's a really hilarious scene where they run into Hulk Hogan, who like is in and out of this movie, just disappears for huge chunks of it, and it just shows up randomly. You're like, oh yeah, you're still in this movie, Hulk Hogan. But there's a point where
as you're describing it to me, I just want to say it's giving me real Spy Kids energy.
It absolutely has Spy Kids energy. Yes, absolutely.
Where it's like, I believe the first one was like okay, and they just get progressively worse.
That's what this franchise seems like, yeah. But like, so I should mention Hulk Hogan in this movie. He's like a television star who is in a show which is like a mashup of like pro wrestling and Power Rangers, and they're about to cancel his show, and he's really upset about it. He's been doing this show for like 20 years. And so yeah, so he's doing this appearance, the littlest kid is a big fan, and they're doing this public appearance at this theme park. And so they run into him and they tell him what's going on. And he's like, wait here, kids, I'll go save the day. And he runs out. And as he's leaving, he grabs the wig. Because that's what matters right now, is getting that wig back on.
I mean, he has to look tough.
He has to look like he's in character while he's doing this.
Yeah, you know.
So yeah,
don't want to ruin the illusion for all his child fans.
It's very funny. And also, one of the kids in it is now a TikTok star. He's called a famous TikTok guy. He was also on Power Rangers. He was the Red Ranger in that short period of time where they get turned into kids at the end of the Mighty Morphin series. He was the Red Ranger.
Oh yeah.
And his TikTok name is Big Bang Mike, and he's now a mixed martial arts guy.
So do you remember what this was on Rotten Tomato?
I believe it's 0%.
And do you think that's an appropriate number?
Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't change it?
I absolutely would not change it. No, it didn't.
All right.
I mean, I would maybe. Okay, no, that's not fair. I would maybe go up to 1 or 2% because there was a few moments I laughed, and because it was just of how absurdly stupid it was. But it didn't make me. It didn't make me mad like other ones on this list did. So maybe 1%. But no, it's rotten. Rotten to its core. It's a bad movie. It's not a very good movie. Moving on.
My second pick was a movie called Pixels. You're going to notice this week that I did a lot of Adam Sandler movies. And that's because generally they are not favored well.
They're not received well.
Received well, thank you. This one got 18% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I still dislike this movie.
Okay, so God. Overall, I don't hate this movie.
Well, you're gonna say that after Josh Gad had sex with Kubert? You're gonna say you don't hate this movie? Jordan,
in the Pantheon,
I want you to picture Josh Gad having sex with Kubert.
Well, hey. She didn't look like Kubert. She looked like an attractive female.
Yeah, but she was still Kubert. It's still weird.
In the Pantheon of Adam Sandler movies, I would place it firmly in the middle.
Yeah, it's not the. I cannot sit here and say it's not. It's the worst one. That is definitely Jack and Jill.
It's not his worst movie. It's not his best movie. It's kind of just okay.
I mean, no, man, that was terrible. I'm sorry.
And really, the biggest thing, the thing that makes me okay, in a movie where aliens are taking the form of 80s pop culture stuff, video games and stuff, really the biggest thing and the sticking point for me is how is Peter Dinklage, that's the name. Brain fuzzy, sorry. How is Peter Dinklage inputting cheat codes into real life cars?
It makes no sense.
Is he inputting it on the stick shift? Is he like how? How?
It makes no sense.
Even if they had like a one-off line where it was like he's using the stick shift to input it or something, like how is he doing it physically?
My thing with that movie is because Jordan, is it rotten?
Oh, it's rotten.
It's rotten.
It's absolutely rotten.
Bad. It's very bad.
In fact, I was shocked that it had an 18%. I would actually, in this instance, drop it. I would make it lower.
It's very funny because I very much remember watching this movie in theaters with you and us getting into a heated debate on the way home and you insisting that it was not that bad. And me being like, no, Jordan, it's awful. It absolutely despises the people that it claims to be champions of. Like, it doesn't understand video games in any significant way. You can tell none of the people involved making that movie have ever picked up a video game. They clearly resent people who like video games. It's awful. I hate that movie. But, like, put it in the hands of better people. Like, don't let Happy Madison make it. And, like, that could be make it like a Steven Spielberg. Like, someone with some friggin' whimsy, like
that's kind of my thing, and I think that's kind of what
then I'd raise it.
When I say I don't like it's mediocre. I don't hate the concept, I guess is my point.
Yeah.
Like I don't hate the idea of people in the 80s send up a video recording of 80s video games and aliens receive it and come down and attack. And I know I don't hate that because there's a book that was written by the guy who made Ready Player One called Armada, which is basically that.
Yeah.
It is basically that. And I like that story. I think that's a very good book. I'll tell you more about that later. But so like that's how I know I don't hate the idea. I just kind of don't love the execution.
And the people involved in it don't like them. That's not fair. I don't hate Adam Sandler. I just hate some of his movies.
It's more just I don't like the execution. So yeah, I would have I think it deserves like a 10%.
Fair.
Maybe like if I'm being generous, maybe like a 12%. Right. But no, the biggest sticking point for me and the thing that like it quite frankly, it just takes me out of the movie is how is he inputting those codes in real life?
Yeah, it makes no sense. It makes
like the rest of it fine.
sense.
Like, okay, when they're doing the Donkey Kong, maybe they don't follow the game 1-to-1 because he's actually like running through the course. Okay, sure, I can excuse that. But how, like, he's literally inputting a game that came from the game
Well, what
into
bother
real
me,
life.
the Donkey Kong bit at the end would bother me less if they hadn't made such a big deal about cheating. Where it's like, he's cheating. He's currently cheating. Your entire sticking point was that they cheated. They said we didn't cheat. He's cheating.
But yeah, overall, not good.
Not good. Not good. So second one for me is Son of the Mask. Not good. Not good. Not good. But baffling.
I think I've watched that once.
It's just okay. Like, I will say one of the more interesting one of the things that was kind of interesting to me is there's a the whole thing with this movie is it's okay. There's a lot to break down with this one. Number one, it's Jamie Kennedy. This movie's interesting if you watch this. There's like a couple of videos Jamie Kennedy made talking about it where he thought that this was going to be his big break. Like, this was essentially going to turn him into Jim Carrey, basically. Like, because he had a moderately successful sketch comedy show. And, like, they let him come in and kind of do his thing. And it's like, just the fact that he thought that this would be successful. I'm just like, how? Like, how? Who is this for? It's too family friendly for the people who like the first one, and it doesn't involve Jim Carrey. And I understand he's in a bad position, right? He can't just come in and do Jim Carrey again, but like, what else do you do? And parts of this, like, removed from this are interesting, I guess. But it's just, again, it's just the execution. It's weird and odd. It's just like, again, who is this for? Like, I would much prefer, I want them to, with the mask, I want them to go back to square one and do like an R-rated, violent, it's closer to the comics movie. So
correct me if I'm wrong, but in the sequel, it's not Stanley Ipkiss, is it?
No, it's a new guy. He's called Tim Avery, and he's a cartoonist. Okay. And it's a reference to Tex Avery.
Is it supposed to take place after the first one, or is it like, okay.
Because at the beginning of the movie, Loki goes, basically the whole thing of it is Loki is looking for the mask, and he goes to Ben Stein, and he's like, he keeps running into these fake masks for some reason, even though he's magic, and he says he's a god, he can't find this mask, and the mask finds its way to Jamie Kennedy, and he wears it to a costume party, and he comes home and cucarachas his wife, and gets her pregnant. No, that was my point. That was my other point. The whole thing is he's like kind of like a man-child. Like, he goes to a party and he's like, ooh, children are scary. Don't like children. And he's on the way home and he's like playing a Game Boy, and his wife's like, do you think we could have a baby? And he's like, nah, I'm not ready. I'm not mature enough. And he puts on the mask, he goes to this costume party. They do a really long, protracted, prolonged musical number with like these weird fisheye lens close-ups that none of which look good. It's very weird. It goes on forever. He goes home and, like I say, cucarachas his wife, gets her pregnant, and the baby now has mask powers. He is a son of the mask. If you think of the person who's wearing the mask as the mask.
So, here's my question. Is there a version of this movie that could be good? Because as you're describing it, I don't see a version of this where it was ever good.
No, I don't either. Not as it is. I stripping it. No. I mean, the worst part of the movie, and that's not to say that they're not kind of fun sequences, but in the middle of the movie, the baby starts watching Looney Tunes cartoons, and then the dog puts on the mask, so it turns into a Looney Tunes cartoon between the dog and the baby. But it's all in horrid looking CGI. But those are kind of fun. But in a different movie, maybe. Like, not in a mask movie, but I don't know what you do. The only thing there's nothing you can do short of bringing Jim Carrey back, and he backed out. He didn't want to do it. that's why this movie exists, because he refused to do the sequel. Which sat in development hell for
and
like years.
Yeah, because like when I think of how the first one went, even if you brought Jim Carrey back, I don't really that movie it told its story. I don't really
Yeah, I
see
don't.
how you do a sequel to it.
Yeah, exactly. I just don't know
Like
what you.
like short of doing like a prequel
Yeah,
where like maybe you have like the mask powers like and this would be a very like a departure from the first one very much in style, but like maybe where you have the mask powers in like ancient times.
well, my pitch is always, especially because Deadpool was so successful. I think that they could do it. But my pitch is always R-rated mask, because the original comic is R-rated, right?
I know very little about it, quite
Oh,
frankly. I know that like he's more psychopathic.
yeah, he's straight. Yeah, it's really violent, really gruesome, really bloody, and it passes from like, he doesn't keep it for very long. He goes on like a rampage and he gets killed by his girlfriend, who she puts it on. The girlfriend who has the same name as the Cameron Diaz character. And the whole thing is it passes from person to person. So it eventually passes to, the main detective guy in the movie, in the Jim Carrey one, passes to him in the comics. And the mask becomes kind of a more good character. And then at one point, I can't remember if it's before the cop or after, but then it passes to Dorian, the bad guy, and he's the mask for a while, and it's really bloody and violent and gruesome.
I think what I would do if I could have my hands on this property and do whatever I wanted, I don't think I would do a movie. I think I would do an anthology series where the show is about the mask,
That'd be
and
kind of fun.
each episode is the mask coming into contact or coming into the hands of a different character,
That'd be fun.
and showing the events of like the chaos that it brings into their life. And the next episode, it's a completely different character, and it's about and you go and it's like the story isn't so much about the characters themselves, but like it is about the mask and the chaos that it brings into people's lives.
There's a really good, and the reason why I'm like, I'm pretty confident that this can work. Is doing in my role, it's a movie, but it's R-rated and it's closer in tone to the comics. But there's a really good fan film that I will send to you, that is quite good, and it really reminds me of a topic where we talked about the Terrifier movies, where it's like really kind of gruesome and bloody, but it has a sense that the mask still has a sense of humor about himself. He's still a cartoon character, but he's a darker and has a more edge, and he's not. I think the character is not Stanley Ipkiss. I think it's a new character. I might have to watch it after this as well. But yeah, I think it's a new character, and it's really good. And it's like, that's exactly what I would do. Just do that.
Yeah,
but they wouldn't, because they want Jim Carrey back, and they want it to be silly because that's what people know.
Like that's where I say like an anthology show allows you to kind of have whatever you want. Like you could have one episode be where, yeah, it's an animator and you lean into the cartoony stuff, and
that'd be fun.
That's the point of that episode. Or like the second episode, like next episode, it's a gangster and you lean into the more serious. Or like for some reason, I'm picturing an episode where it's it's a sport, like a hockey star who gets it, and like he's using it to like cheat in games and stuff like that.
That'd be kind of fun. But that's it. That's it.
An anthology series to me just allows you to really, you could do it all.
Yeah. But that's it. That's Son of the Mask. That's all. What's your next one?
My next one, keeping with the Adam Sandler, because he just did a lot. He's done a lot of movies that people didn't like. And so this is where it's funny. I do want to say real quick. As we went into this week, I had to go to Justin and be like, are we going from the review side, or are we going from like the audience people side, like what they like? And so this is an example where that distinction was important, because if we were going by what audiences liked, I couldn't have picked this movie.
The audiences like this one.
And so this is Grown Ups. It had a 10% on the Rotten Tomato score, but on the popcorn meter, the audience score, it had 62%. And that's where I say it's interesting because if I went by what audiences liked, then I couldn't pick this movie. Anyways, Grown Ups. I mean, this movie definitely was just Adam Sandler and his friends
Just went out,
hanging out at a lake and going to a water park. And
oh yeah. Like this is the one day where like they clearly just shut down a water park for. Oh, that was the same thing with the. To go back to the High Unit Mega Mountain, that it was filmed at an actual theme park. So there's scenes where you could just see just regular people in the background just reacting to the scene that's happening in front of them. So it's like, yeah, man, for those 3 kids, they shut down a theme park for a day. There's literally a scene where they're just riding theme park rides. So it's like, same here. It's like, yeah, they just took a day where they went to a water park and brought the cameras with them. Shut down a water park and brought the cameras with them.
So, I mean, there's jokes in this which I find funny. It's definitely one of those humor is subjective.
Yeah, I like that movie.
I like this movie. Of the ones that I watched, I mean, it falls into the category for me of like one of those dumb family movies that you watch growing up where it's like, no, it's not great. Objectively, from a movie critic standpoint, it's not a great movie, but it's fun. It's harmless.
Yeah, exactly.
It's white rice.
Right? It's middle of the road Adam Sandler. It's all right.
Yeah.
It's not his worst movies.
It's higher up on the list than Pixels is, that's for sure.
It's not Jack and Jill.
Like, do I think that it deserves? It's still rotten.
Yeah.
Like, just in terms of like a film technical critic level, yeah, it's still rotten because it doesn't really, in terms of acting skill.
No,
they weren't really acting. They kind of just.
You could tell that a lot of that was just them sitting around improving. There's so many moments that you could tell I just improved.
Now, are there jokes in there that I don't love?
It'd be disingenuous to say that I didn't laugh. Yeah,
the Rob Schneider old lady hippie chick joke doesn't do it for me.
My thing was the baby breastfeeding joke. I'm like, by the third or fourth time,
yeah, no, that's weird.
I get it. I get it.
That's a weird joke.
I don't like this.
But that's where I say humor is subjective. There are jokes in there that I laugh at. So, I would, if push came to shove, I would probably say that it deserves like a 40%.
That's fair. Instead
of the 10% that it got.
That's fair. It's still not good.
Still rotten, but like I think it deserves a little more credit because it's definitely better than the second one.
I'm gonna save us some time. The next like 3, you're gonna all be 0, Jordan. So you don't even have to. They're just 0. They're 0.
Okay.
They deserve to be 0s. They're gonna be 0s. So.
Yeah, that's all I have to say about Grown Ups 1. What's your next one?
See now, Jordan, we're hitting the fun point where I have to pull up my notes because I didn't take notes, but it'll make sense. So my next 2 they're bad comedies. Starting off with, and I picked this one as sort of a representation of its entire genre, but I watched Disaster Movie. And Disaster Movie, surprisingly, is a musical. Like, there's like 3 or 4 musical numbers, the funniest one of which is the ending one, which, like, this movie is, I'm pretty sure it's a PG-13 rated comedy. So they can't say the F word. So they do a parody of, and this is just in a list of pop culture references I'm going to list off to you, and you could tell me how many are still relevant. But it ends on a parody of I'm fucking Matt Damon, but because it's a PG-13 rated movie, they clearly can't say fucking because of how many times it would require them to say fucking to do this song. So they just say I'm dating blank, and so the song is literally just being like, I'm dating this character, and I'm also maybe probably dating this character, and that's it. That's the entire joke. And this entire movie is just like bad impressions of like TV shows, bad parodies. Okay, so Jordan, you tell me. These are all the films and television shows that are parodied in this movie. Cloverfield, Twister, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, 10,000 BC, American Gladiators, My Super Sweet 16, Juno, Enchanted, High School Musical, Alvin and the Chipmunks, the live action versions, Kung Fu Panda, The Dark Knight, WWE, The Incredible Hulk, Step Up to the Streets, Iron Man, Hellboy 2, Sex and the City, which is also a weird transphobic joke because Carrie is just a man in a dress for like no reason. He's just a man for no reason. And also there's a lot of really gross pedo jokes involving Hannah Montana when like at the time where Hannah Montana is constantly talking about how she wants everyone to have sex with her, even though I'm pretty sure when this movie came out she was like 15 or 16. It's really gross.
So just judging by those pop culture things, I'm guessing this movie came out in somewhere between 2009 to 2013.
Okay, hold on. Let me. Hancock, super bad. Night at the Museum. I don't know what Head On is, but it says Head On commercial. World Trade Centers. The Love Guru. Hannah Montana. Beowulf. Speed Racer. The Shining. I Am Legend. The Day After Tomorrow. Jumper. The Clone Wars. No Country for Old Men. Wanted. The Matrix Revolutions. Chronicles of Narnia. Prince Caspian. An Inconvenient Truth. You Don't Mess with the Zohan. And Get Smart. A lot of these all come out in the same year.
Yeah. So it's either 2009 or 2010.
Hold on. Ooh, you're off by a year.
2011?
No, it's 2008.
Damn.
And so some of the celebrities, obviously Miley Cyrus, there's a really weird Amy Winehouse joke. Also, the 10,000 BC reference meant nothing to me because I've never seen that movie. There's a weird Michael Jackson molestation joke that's gross. Flava Flav shows up. Kanye West, Will Smith, Soulja Boy. I have no idea who Hollywood Yates is. Dr. Phil, the Jonas Brothers. This is a very like mid to late 2000s movie. Like it's just none of the jokes are funny. The references are so dated.
It's one that I never had any interest in.
My thing with this genre, because there's obviously a bunch of them, right? There's like epic movie, there's Meet the Spartans, there's date movie, and like these movies are so dated that none of these pop culture references mean anything to anyone. Like, did they not think that? Because to me, when you're making a thing, at least whenever I made a thing, I was always conscious of how this would be viewed in the future. Like, did you not think, hey man, in 20 years when people go back and watch this movie, maybe they won't get this reference, like, and then it won't be funny, and then half of the comedy of the movie just deflates into this awful, like, weird, gross representation of an era that no longer exists.
No, I guarantee you they weren't thinking of that. They were thinking, how can we make a quick buck now?
Make it look like the thing, and so a lot of the impressions just are bad. Like, they're not good. That's it. That's Disaster Movie. It was awful.
So it had a 0. I'm guessing you would keep it at a 0.
Oh, 0. Goose egg. It gets nothing. That's a fun story about that movie. Is the reason why I remember it comes out in 2008 is because it came out the same year as The Dark Knight, 2008. And I went to the movies with a friend, and we had two options: either watch The Dark Knight for like a 7th time, or watch Disaster Movie. And I did not want to watch Dark Knight for the 7th time. I just wanted to watch a new movie. My friend was very mad at me at the back of this movie. She did not speak to me for a bit. That's it. That's Disaster Movie. Jordan, what's your next one?
So I watched the Grown Ups 2 as well as the Grown Ups 1. Grown Ups 2 is bad. It is not good.
Here's my thing about that movie, Jordan. Just real quick. I'm aware I watched it, but that was during our early explorations with our perfectly legal substance in Canada. And that, you know the story where you heard the music and you're like, are you joshing me? This is a story that's just between me and Jordan. I'm sorry. That was when we were watching Grown Ups 2.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where it's like,
I'm aware I watched it, but I remember nothing about it.
And even for this show, I watched it earlier in the week. I know I did, but it's so forgettable.
It just kind of looked like it was the first movie again.
Well, no, but it's not even that. Like it's like you took the first one and stripped away all of the sweet heart like
They're just friends hanging
heartwarming.
out.
It's just now it's Adam Sandler and his family have moved back to his hometown, and it's like they're trying to capture the fun magic that the first one had, but you don't get it. Like it's not there.
It's interesting because you're like the feeling you're describing is sort of ephemeral. Like you're trying to like there's just something about it that it just doesn't work the same way.
No, it's not. Yeah,
that's
I
interesting.
can't. Like the first one, it's like I'm very aware that it was just a bunch of friends hanging out, but it worked for me because it was
Yeah.
like it evokes that I think why it works in the first one and why it doesn't work in this one is because in the first one it very much evokes those internal memories of like going to a cabin with your family
Yeah.
and just spending the weekend there and hanging out and
I think
having a good time
I
and
think maybe it plays into a very specific nostalgia for you. Maybe that's why.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because I definitely know what you mean. Yeah.
Whereas the second one, it just doesn't do that for me.
No, and it's
Um,
I all I remember is I think Taylor Lautner shows up in it at one point. I think he's one of the rival guys. I think.
yeah, he's a frat boy
Yeah.
basically. Also, Stone Cold Steve Austin is in it, and he's Adam Sandler's bully, and he ends up being like a nice guy.
Okay, but Stone Cold Steve Austin. I mean, come on, come on.
What?
Stone Cold Steve Austin. I mean, that brings it up a few notches. It certainly
I
must.
mean, you know,
Stone Cold Steve
it is
Austin.
what it is. He's fun. It's
He's fun.
fun. Like there's a point where basically like they get into a fight and Stone Cold is like just make it look good so that people buy it. Like I'm doing you a favor here, man. And like for your kids, like if my kids were here, I know you'd do the same for me. And like he makes Adam Sandler look like this badass.
I seem to remember that scene. That scene looked fun. Or I quite enjoyed. I've seen clips of um Shaq. Shaq is the town cop. They're like local town cop.
Yeah.
He's fun. That was fun. Like there's
So
stuff
like
to
there's stuff in it that's fun, but it's like as a package, it just doesn't do it. Yeah, it doesn't have that ephemeral whatever word you said
emerald.
nostalgia.
Yeah, it's a
That
feeling.
the first one.
Yeah, it's like a feeling that you're just not getting that you got from the first one. Yeah. So
Yeah.
okay, what do you rate it? Is it still rotten, Jordan?
So this one
Also, just as an
got
aside, real quick, we will never ever do numbered ratings again. Just to be clear, this is unless we do Rotten Tomatoes again. This is not a normal thing.
This is purely because it's on a Rotten Tomato basis.
Yeah. So is it rotten?
This one got 8% on Rotten Tomato, so it got 2% lower than the first one. So clearly, other people also.
Oh yeah, no, it reviewed very poorly. There's a reason why they haven't made Grown Ups 3 yet. The thing about Grown Ups is that first one made a shit ton of money because obviously, based upon what's in it, it's a very low budget movie and it made a ton of money, which is why there's a second one. The second one bombed horribly, which is why they've never made a third one, even though all of them wanted to make a third one because they're easy movies to make. Sorry, continue.
So, funny enough, I think 8% is exactly what it deserves.
All right.
Whereas the first one, like I think what did I bump it up to 30 or 40?
Yeah, you bumped it pretty high.
This one, I don't like it.
That's fair.
So I would keep it where it is. I think it's exactly as rotten as it claims to be.
Fair. Okay, Jordan. It's time to talk about movie 43.
Do we have to?
Yeah.
I remember hating this one.
This movie's bad. Oh my goodness, it's bad. So this movie is a series of sketches that are all tied together by the framing device of Dennis Quaid is pitching a movie to Greg Kinnear, who is a movie studio executive. And they're all really terrible sketches. None of them are really all that funny. I won't lie and say there aren't a couple of jokes that did make me laugh. So I won't say it's devoid of laughter. but it's the kind of like the one joke that I go to is somebody went to Hugh Jackman and said, Hugh Jackman, we have a movie idea for you. You just got to do like a day where you show up and the joke is that you have testicles on your neck. That's it. My theory.
I have to be honest. I don't really remember literally anything from this movie. I just remember the feelings that came out of it afterwards.
Which is hatred, right?
I remember feeling very upset by it.
Yeah, no, it was all, yeah. And it's like, that's the joke. The joke is just, that's it. That's the joke. He's got, and like, so my theory is that some producer in Hollywood just had a ton of blackmail on all of these celebrities. Cause like, or like anytime anyone's like, why is Chris Pratt in anything? Because he did a movie where he got hit by a car and he shat himself because his wife asked him to poo on her. That's why.
I'm going to pretend that you didn't say what you just said, and I'm going to turn my head, drink this drink, and not acknowledge it.
Or one of them, the one joke the one sketch that I will acknowledge made me laugh is it's so, oh man, it makes me feel gross describing it. But it's Chloe Moretz, hit girl from Kick-Ass.
Okay.
Yeah. This is when she's quite young, and she's on a date with this kid, and they're kissing, and she has a moment where she panics, and she realizes something, and she gets up, and he sees or she backs away up against the wall, and he sees like there's a stain on the couch, and he's like, "Oh, you sat in some grape juice." And she's like, I need to go right now. And she's like leaning up against the wall, and he sees the blood on the wall. He starts freaking out, and McLovin is there, like Christopher Mintz-Plasse. He's there, and he's the older brother, and he's like, "Oh my God, she's having her period," and they like start freaking out. And they all start like freaking out, panicking. They don't know what to do. And he's getting her like plastic wrap and all sorts of different things to cover it up. And then the boy's dad comes in, played by Patrick Warburton, and like he's trying to suss out what's happening. And then out of nowhere, her dad comes in, and then for one reason or another, the boy's dad, her dad, gets to do a fight. And she's eventually just like, "Shut the fuck up! Like I'm just a normal 13-year-old girl who had her period for the first time, and I'm sorry it had to be in front of you morons, but I just need to deal with this." And then she turns to the dad like, "Call mom, I need her." And then she just walks out angrily. I'm like, that made me laugh. Just her, "I'm sorry it had to be in front of you idiots." Her delivery is genuinely pretty funny. And okay, I will acknowledge there's another sketch where it's the eye babe, and the whole bit is that this guy has created these MP3 players which look exactly like naked women, and there's an exhaust port, and the exhaust port is in the yoo-hoo area, and teenage boys keep putting their dingly dangly bits into it and getting mangled, and they're trying to figure out how not to do it. And there's one character who's like, "It's because it looks like a woman. It's absurd. You can't take it anywhere. It's illegal to take it in most states. This is literally the dumbest thing." And the guy's like, I don't see what the problem is." It's just so dumb. It's a terrible movie.
So as you're describing this, it raises the question for me. When do we stop calling a movie? Because if it's just a bunch of like sketch comedy scenes blapped together,
well, no, is
it really a movie?
Well, that's what one of the things that makes this movie bad is there is a framing device. There's two framing devices. There's the one I mentioned and that is the through line. Like there's like the ball, Hugh Jackman ball testicle sketch. It eventually cuts back to Dennis Quaid and Greg Kinnear, and Greg Kinnear's like, "That sketch is too much. No one would ever make that into a movie." And there's so many points of that. And then there's a subplot that's going on in the background of Greg Kinnear's trying to get out of this meeting with Dennis Quaid, who and that's okay. Well, okay. This movie's not devoid of laughter, but there's a joke where he's like, he pretends that he met him at this lunch, Dennis Quaid, and he's like, "No, I've never met you. How'd you get in here?" He's like, I blew the security guard." And he's like, the security guard let you blow him? No, he fought me every step of the way. And he eventually like he says like, oh, I can't make this movie without permission from my boss. And so Dennis Quaid has a gun. He takes him hostage to the boss or whatever. And the boss is like, you can make the decision on your own. Don't be a pussy. I banged your wife. And so Greg Kinnear snaps and takes holds the boss at gunpoint or whatever. And the security guard pulls up and he's like, I want you to blow him. And I want the security guard to blow him. And Dennis Quaid is like, no, the security guard has been through enough. I thought that was
so
funny.
Again, I say, just because a thing is like an hour and a half to 2 hours long, doesn't make it a movie.
Right, but this does have like a through line, like a plot. So in this case, and the other thing is
so like for example, and this is in a similar vein. The Jackass movies aren't movies. Those aren't movies.
I mean,
they're a collection. They're a collection of things that they did, but they're not movies.
Those movies technically, those are different. Those classify, and I know you're gonna be like, nah, but they do technically classify as documentary films because of the way they're filmed.
No,
so they're technically, or if you prefer, it's documentary style. So they're technically they're considered comedy mockumentary films, I guess would be the technical term. But it is.
I mean,
but this it's not a narrative film. Like you can have films that don't have a narrative, and that's what. So this does theoretically have a narrative, but that's what makes it interesting. Is so eventually it doesn't have an ending. It just gets to and I think that's part of why we hated it. It gets to the end of it, and it gets to the point where Greg Kinnear is holding the other guy hostage, and then they just go cut, and they're just the actors, and Greg Kinnear goes, so like, how many sketches on there? There's 43 sketches in this. So do we have one more, right? Yeah, can we just cut to that now? And then it goes credits, and no, it does one more sketch where it's Terrence Howard giving an inspirational speech to his team of black basketball players, being like, you're black, you're like amazing at sports, you're like way taller than them, the team is a bunch of white guys. And then it does a bunch of inspirational music as the black guys proceed to just like beat the shit out of them at basketball. And then it goes to the credits, and then there's one more sketch where it's this really weird sketch about an animated cat who's into his owner sexually. It's very bizarre. But what's interesting is there's another framing device. It never explains why the movie's called Movie 43. But there's a deleted original framing device that didn't involve Dennis Quaid and Greg Kinnear, which is it's kids filming a bunch of films. And it's about the last film that you see in the movie is the filming of them, like filming making the movie is the 43rd film. And so that's where the name for movie 43 comes from.
Yeah, I think it's just important that we acknowledge that sometimes movies that claim to be movies are not movies.
I mean, it's a movie. It's a bad movie. 0%. Moving on. Next movie, Jordan.
Next movie was I watched the 2014 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, which just lies under the conditions for what we set, which it's 20% on Rotten Tomato.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I don't hate this movie.
I quite like that movie.
I think
perfect?
No,
but I quite like it.
I think Megan Fox does an adequate job of being the main character.
Yeah.
I think the turtles are the turtles.
They are turtle-y enough.
They each fit the archetype of what the turtles are supposed to be.
Are they a tad over-designed?
Leonardo is the leader. Donatello does machines. The rest. You know, you have Will Arnett, who's also there. Honestly, maybe you could have cut that character.
Oh, you for sure could have cut that character. But he's technically a character from the animated series.
I mean, okay.
He's Vern, I think.
I think it solidly deserves the 20% that it got.
That is fair. Yeah, that movie got fucked with in the edit too. Like William Fichtner was supposed to be Shredder, and yeah, that movie got majorly fucked with.
I remember the second one being better.
Second one's a bit closer to the animated series. I quite like the second. I mean, I like both of them, but I like the second one more.
I remember liking the second one more. But I remember going into this one, there was the concern that they were going to be like aliens and shit.
Yeah.
Which is what makes it funny that there's a line in there where I think it's Will Arnett is like, oh, so they're aliens, and then Megan Fox's character is like, no, that's stupid.
That's stupid.
Which I think is funny. It's a funny.
You can still find that. And elements of that script, I think, found their way into the second one because that first script, I think, involved the Krang and the MacGuffin bit of him trying to recreate the Technodrome and the Dimension X and stuff. I think that all came from that first initial script, which at one point you could find online and read parts of it. It was not good. It was worse than this movie. But yeah, I do remember going into it being concerned because Michael Bay is a producer on it. But he didn't direct it, and he's not as involved in it as you would have thought, as you would think.
What I find funny about this one is
it does have a little bit of his sauce in there, though. You could see it.
There's so much hate towards the design of the turtles. Like I remember as this movie was coming out, there was a big deal about the fact that Michelangelo had lips.
Yeah.
Like I very specifically on YouTube remember there being people who animated it, and like
yeah.
They made it where like he pulled off the mask or whatever, and he had a different face, and it's like I just remember it being this really, really big deal for some people, and watching it now, I don't get that.
I get Alan. I mean, I never hated the designs, but I would concede that they're a tad over designed. I would say
I don't though, because like for a live action, I guess my biggest complaint would be that the fact that they're huge.
Yeah, that's my other thing.
I would make them smaller, maybe, but
yeah, it's like they're supposed to be ninjas, dog. They're not really ninja-ing when the size of tanks.
I guess after watching all the Transformers ones,
yeah, by comparison, no.
By comparison,
but again, Michael Bay didn't direct this, so like he's a producer, so he wasn't as involved in this as he was in Transformers.
Yeah, but as soon as you attach his name to anything, Justin, it's a curse.
And I don't even know if he did or if Platinum Dunes did, which is his production company. But yeah, I don't want to. No, I won't say that because I don't know if it's true or
not. But yeah, overall, yeah, I think it deserves the 20%, maybe 30, if I was being generous.
I'd be good with 30. Could be, yeah.
But that's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Was that your last one?
That's my last rapid fire.
Sweet, I got one more. I got. And this one is important for later, but my next one is the movie Baby Geniuses, and I watched this yesterday, folks, and man, Jordan can attest. This movie made me very upset. I was very upset because I loved this movie as a child, and like rewatching it, I hated it so much. It made me go, man, I was a stupid child, a stupid child.
So you were a child.
God, it's bad. It just doesn't make any the logic of the science. So okay, here's the thing. Here's what the plot of the movie. All right. So, and they very like they explain it to you. They spoon feed it to you at the beginning. So they have these two twins played by triplets, which I thought was interesting. The two main lead babies are played by triplets. And one child goes to an evil corporation who raises them in a tube and like under a specific method. And the other child goes to a regular family. And it's determined which method of child raising is better. And the movie is like, oh, the company is making baby geniuses. And that's why they can talk. And so the whole concept of this franchise is that babies speak a form of pre-language that only they can understand.
So, like, is the company injecting these babies with some sort of super serum to make them smarter?
The eventual case that the movie makes is that all babies speak this language, and they all are in touch with or in tap with the inherent secrets of the universe. And they're aware of every bit of knowledge in existence, but they lose that when they become 2 years old, or as they refer to it, crossing over.
Okay. So, but what does that have to do with one group being raised by parents and one group being raised by the company?
Absolutely nothing.
Like, would not a stronger case be that, like, the way that the company is raising them is by giving them some sort of drugs, which is
You would think
making
so.
them smarter?
Like literally
And then
like
so
it's weird because sorry.
so I'm just trying to wrap my head around this. So, like, what does them separating the babies have to do with anything?
Seemingly nothing. Other than all the babies in the lab are all observed by like a team of scientists, one of which is Christopher Lloyd, playing kind of a fun villain role. Admittedly. But that's it. They just what it equates to in the movie is they just kind of sit and watch the babies. And it's like there's a moment in the movie when he's calling the police, and he's like, okay, so yeah, they took because the whole thing is this is a corporation that makes baby stuff, but they also own this like baby themed theme park, and they fund orphanages, and the orphanages are meant to siphon out the extra smart babies from the dum-dums, which then go into this program. And so there's a group of like 5 or 6 of these genius babies who, are all being raised by scientists. But it's, so there's a point where they're calling the cops being like, this corporation has these babies that they put in like daycare and observe and then feed. And because there's one person whose job it is to change the baby's diapers. And that's how the one baby keeps getting away, keeps escaping. So like they're being kind of well taken care of, other than it's a bit clinical and cold. They're not really doing anything different, and all they do is watch them talk, and they like pick up on this language. And like, oh, when we translate it to this, it's like they're playing this complex, like it's like they're doing baby taps on like a piano. And it's like, oh, if we translate it to their language, it's like they're playing this complex like Orietta or whatever, this complex piano piece. But it doesn't make any sense because, like, okay, well, if babies have all this access to all this knowledge, why do they then just act like babies? It makes no sense.
This movie sounds bad.
Yes, it is. It's very bad. And so then later on in the movie, you find out that the guy from Bean, the guy who Bean goes to live with in the Mr. Bean movie.
Oh, yeah.
He's in this movie, and you find out that he can talk to babies. He can understand babies.
How?
He just remembers the language.
Why? They
never explain it.
No.
And also the babies can hypnotize adults, because there's a point where they hypnotize. Oh, the one of the funny jokes is the Kim Cattrall is also in this, but their son, I think it's their son, someone they know, this young man, every time he enters a scene, he's got a completely different identity. So the first time you meet him, he's like a punk. The next time you meet him, he's like is this like traditional Japanese guy. And that joke was kind of funny. He never develops an original identity. I thought that was kind of funny. But no, there's a point where the babies like hypnotize him and Dom DeLuise to take him to the baby place. And also there's a thing, there's a mascot, like this articulated, horrifying looking baby mascot that the adults can control with voice control. That there's a point where one of the babies is controlling him, which doesn't make any sense because he's speaking the baby language. So does the baby robot understand the baby language? He's not speaking English. It doesn't make any sense. It's a bad movie, Jordan. 0%. I need to take a drink. I need you to talk about your first half scene while I recruit my voice, which I can feel fading.
So now we move into the have scenes, and the first have scene that I had is Dr. Seuss's The Cat in the Hat with Michael Myers.
Cat in that movie.
We got a 10% on Rotten Tomato.
Fun fact about that movie: that movie was so bad that the widow of Dr. Seuss, that's the reason why they never made another live action movie.
I could believe it. So okay, here's the thing. I like this movie.
In spite of itself?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know.
I'm fully aware that it's bad. Like, it's bad. It's bad. Make no mistake. It's bad.
The irony of the fact that we're talking about this while sick is funny to me, because the first time I watched that movie, I'll never forget it. I had like the worst fever, and I went to the theater, and I remember I had like a big thick winter jacket on, and I remember like freezing and shivering my way through that movie and thinking that movie was hysterical because I was clearly delirious.
Nah. Yeah, that's fair.
But there are parts of this movie I like. I mean, I'm not going to deny that.
So here's what I'm going to say. Michael Myers has a very particular juvenile sense of humor when it comes to his movies.
Yes. That I will acknowledge.
And you either like that or you hate that. And for me, when it comes to his movies, it's very hit or miss for me.
Yeah.
Like I either really like his jokes or I really don't. And in terms of this, there's a great number of the jokes. Some of them don't really land for me, but there's a great number of the jokes which I do enjoy. And so as a result,
also the musical number is kind of fun.
I like the musical numbers.
I mean, it's also a fun movie to quote. Like, yeah, I like the I mean, I quote it all the time, but you're not just wrong, you're stupid.
And your mother's ugly.
And your mother's ugly.
Well, yeah, and that's where I say it's ultimately going to come down to whether or not you like Michael Myers' humor.
Yeah.
And when it comes to this movie, because the Cat in the Hat is supposed to be this like fourth wall breaky character, I think it works.
I mean, it works for me, but also like
me.
It worked for me when I was like 12 when I first watched it. So that's the thing with a lot of Mike Myers movies is like, I love Austin Powers as a 12-year-old, but when I watch it now, I'm like, this isn't.
It makes me groan.
Yeah, but this is not working for me because I'm not really into James Bond, so a lot of the parody is lost on me, and a lot of the humor is really of its time and kind of juvenile. And I don't want to be like I'm above that, but
I've aged, is what I'll say.
Yeah.
And so as I'm watching this movie, I'm watching it with two minds. I'm watching it with the mind that I had when it came out, and I watched it as a kid, and it's like the nostalgia in me makes me enjoy it.
Yeah, like I quite like the soundtrack.
The critical thinking part of my brain, which is like, is this objectively a bad movie? Objectively, it's a bad movie.
Yeah.
Like objectively, it's a bad movie.
It's a bad movie. I would say you're going to make the case for the next movie ending his career. I would say the start, because I don't think he did anything really after this until Love Guru.
I think this put him in a downward trend, but I maintain the next one was the nail in the coffin.
I would say like this one set it up, but the next one finished the job.
I could see the argument, but I think
although the triumvirate here is okay.
I think had he after doing this one, had he followed it with like say another Shrek movie?
Yeah. Oh, that's fair. I always forget about those Shrek movies. Yeah, to be fair, he did have wild successes with those Shrek movies.
I think his career might have at least limped along a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But because he did this, and I think he pretty immediately did the following choice pretty quickly after this.
So yeah,
it kind of killed it. But yeah,
he might not have. Well, I mean, to be fair, I think he probably had a Shrek in between those. To be fair,
I don't know enough to.
Yeah,
I'm not going to look it up. But overall, I mean, I think this movie deserves to be considered rotten.
Yeah,
do I think it deserves 10%? 10% feels
20.
low.
I feel like a solid 20. No, 15.
I would say 15.
Solid 15%.
Maybe 16 because I like the songs.
But that's a nostalgia motivated 15. It's a nostalgia bump. It's getting a nostalgia bump for me.
Now here's the thing. If they were to make another live action Cat in the Hat movie, who do you think would be a better Cat in the Hat?
Well, I don't know. I mean, my brain is just going to the fact that they're making an animated one. It's going to be Bill Hader, and I'm actually interested in that. I think these characters are way more suited for animation than they are for live action. So no live action. Do the Bill Hader animated one. I'm gonna watch that. I'm hoping it's. Although to be fair, on a rewatch, I really quite enjoyed the Benedict Cumberbatch one. So, but that was Illumination. Can't remember who's doing this.
Because like as I was watching this one, the live action one, I kind of came to the realization. Oh, sorry. That the original stories are so basic that like that's why the randomness of this one kind of doesn't bother me, is because it's like,
I know, yeah.
It's such a basic story that you have to find a way to stretch it.
I'm pretty sure there's a Cat in the Hat TV show that amounts to he gets them into shenanigans every episode. So like, yeah, the thing about it is that it's weird and it's not really meant for the target. It's funny to me as an adult, but like, yeah, this is probably meant for like 6-year-olds, and it's just not. Like, I thought it was funny as a 13-year-old who liked juvenile humor, but
he has weird. A lot of jokes in there where it's like, I don't see it landing for the target. Like when he's looking at the picture of the mom and he opens the spread or whatever, and then his hat goes up, and that's a very obvious joke for an adult, but a kid is not going to get that.
Yeah, it's one of those movies where it's too silly for adults, but too mature for kids. So that's ultimately why it failed so hard, is because it was a movie for no one.
But that's the Cat in the Hat.
The Cat in the Hat went back. Came back? Who's to say?
Comes back.
Went. Anyway, my first one. Ooh, what should I do first? Oh, let's do The Master of Disguise. Draw The Master of Disguise. The Master of Disguise. My goodness, it was a bad movie, Jordan.
I want to be the Master of Disguise. The Master of Disguise.
It's not mentioning the brown face. There was some brown face. They were really proud. Someone was really proud of that Turtle Club joke because it just goes on forever. There's this really weird running joke where the guy who plays Data, Brett Spiner, he's in it as the villain, and he does this joke where every time he maniacally laughs, he farts. But he's aware he's aware he's doing it, so he just looks annoyed that he's done it. But he knows he does it, but he continues. It's a really weird, and it's a movie where it was clearly meant to be real quick SNL history. But you know how Mike Myers had this hugely successful career where he had like Austin Powers and like Wayne's World and all that stuff. Dana Carvey was crazy jealous of that. Dana Carvey is the lead in this. He plays Pistachio. Pistachio Disguisey. He wanted to have that career. And so Master of Disguise is essentially his Austin Powers. Or at least it was meant to be. But it's one of those movies that's so bad. There's so many celebrities that are in this that you're like, how? Why? How did they get you? Did you not read the script? Like... one of the subplots is that there's this pop-up book that gives him all this instructions. One of the instructions is that he needs an assistant, so that he hires. There's a thing where this guy Pistachio has a thing for women with large butts, so he constantly makes fun of the fact that she has a small butt. And I don't know how much of this movie you remember, but like, you know,
nothing really. I remember select scenes like where he's wearing the turtle outfit. He's like, "Am I turtly enough to be in the turtle club?"
Yeah, that scene goes on for so long. There's one honestly good impression, and it was enough that it made me go to Google. But I only get it now because I've seen Jaws multiple times at this point. But there's a point where he's running away, and it's another one of those ones where there's a couple points where I did laugh. But there's a point where he's running away, and he disguises himself as I can't never remember the character's name. You remember Jaws? You remember Clint? You know Clint in Jaws?
Not by name.
The guy who owns the boat.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They go, "Shark cometh." You know that guy? He does like a spot on impression. Like it looks just like him. It was enough to make me look up when the guy died, and it was like, oh no, it's Dana Carvey. Holy shit, that's a good impression. I'll show it to you later. But it's a good impression. It was believable. But otherwise, yeah, it's just a lot of fart jokes, and it's just, yeah, badly dated, awful,
juvenile.
Just I had more to say, but my brain has been so overcome by my hatred of the Baby Genius movies that I don't remember what I had to say about it beyond the fact that it was not very good. 0%. Moving on.
So, oh well. Sorry, I remembered a rapid fire I was gonna do that I didn't do, but that's fine.
It's too late.
I was anyways. Can't talk about bad poorly rated Michael Myers movies without talking about The Love Guru.
Oh, The Love Guru.
He
thought that was going to be a character. The way you could tell if an actor thinks that a character is going to be something is if he tours talk shows in character, and he absolutely did. He absolutely did talk shows as this character.
Did he?
He absolutely did, yeah. Oh, it was a big thing. He was like
hardcore. That's upsetting.
Yeah, no, he thought this was going to be his next Austin Powers. Like, this was going to be like a major character for him.
So this one got 13% on Rotten Tomato.
Oh, bad movie. Just a bad movie.
Which I have to say, it kind of upsets me that Cat in the Hat got 10 and this got 13. This should be lower.
Significantly worse movie?
Oh, this is so... Oh my god. Where do I even begin?
To be fair, though, that was during that period of time where we were kind of all okay with that kind of racism. Because I think that's kind of when Russell... Not to excuse it, but that's when, like, Russell Brand got popular. Not Russell Brand. Russell Peters got really popular, where everyone just got too comfortable making fun of Indian people.
Yeah, no, this movie is so racist.
So racist.
Like, it's so racist.
The bit I always remember is the bit that I'll never understand is where he first... I think it's the flashback where he first meets Ben Kingsley's character. And he's like
guru, what's his name?
Like young Mike Myers, but they've given him a giant head for some reason.
Well, it's like they've got he's young Michael Myers, but it's like it's got adult Michael Myers face plastered over the kid version.
Yeah, but his head is gigantic. That's all I remember about it.
It looks so bad and it's so dumb. He's supposed to be an American who is raised in like this Indian ashram or whatever.
Yeah.
Which is why it's supposed to be okay that you have a white guy doing an Indian accent, and it's so... You're one step away from putting him in brownface and having him
hackneyed Indian accent.
Like, it's so bad.
I will say that the joke that I never got,
and it's somehow worse. It's somehow made worse by the fact that his assistant or butler or whatever
is an
actual Indian.
I feel like that was their way of being like, we have Indian friends. This is why we can get away with this. But no, the one joke that I didn't get the first time I watched it was when he greets people. He goes, Mariska Hargitay. And I never realized that. And then she shows up. He's like, Mariska Hargitay. She shows up. That's the name of the Olivia Benson on Law and Order SVU. That's the name of the actress who plays her. That's why she shows up. That's her name. Yeah, I never got that joke before until I started watching Law and Order SVU.
No, I didn't get that joke.
That's funny.
But yeah, no, I mean, there's just oh my.
There's a lot of
there's so many things
where he just sings more than words for a really long time.
I mean, there's the fact that the character is called Maurice, so they can do
purely so they can play.
He's a picker. He's a grinner. He's a midnight picker.
Why can I never remember the name of that song? Got my buddy on the run. Yeah, purely. Some people call me Maurice. Purely so they can do that joke, so he can play it on a sitar. Purely, just for that.
There's also, like, it's got a number of meta jokes. Like, there's a part where they're in the car. Him and the hockey guy that he's trying to help her in the car, and he's flipping through the radio, and one of the stations that it lands on is playing Bohemian Rhapsody.
That's funny.
And he looks straight into the camera and then changes the station.
There's a joke I quite like where every time I Drove All Night by Celine Dion, I do the dance moves that Justin Timberlake does when he's dancing, because that did make me laugh. Like, again, these movies are not devoid of laughs entirely. It's just it's still bad, though.
I just don't know how how he thought there was any world where this was going to be the next Austin Powers.
I mean, what again? 2000. When did this come out? 2008.
This came out in 2008.
Yeah, 2008. This is another one where we like raced to this theater to get to this movie. We're all covered in sweat, exhausted, and my friend was just pissed. She hated this movie so thoroughly. It was about the point where the elephants have sex, where she was like, "I hate this."
It's so bad.
But yeah, 2008 was just a different time, is how I would put it.
One thing, the only thing I will give it credit for is it's only an hour 27 and it's mercifully short.
Yeah, that was the nice thing this week is they were mercifully short. Nothing. The longest one was the next one I'm going to talk about, which was almost 2 hours. But even then, paced.
The fact that the character that Maurice ends up with Jessica Alba at the end, I don't think he deserves to be with her.
No.
Just story wise, I think
at the end it should have just been like he was faking the accent the whole time.
I
actually talk like this, and he's just his regular Canadian accent.
I will say that
I would respect it a little bit more.
Oh, interesting. I do find it funny where there's a scene near the end where it's at the hockey game, and Michael Myers is actually there with another celebrity as himself
That's
in the movie.
That's funny.
But so one thing that I'm reading about in the production, Michael Myers apparently first came up with the idea for Guru Pitka in the mid 1990s, and he was originally planned for the Austin Powers franchise.
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
He began workshopping the character in New York comedy clubs in 2005, and he billed these live shows as An Evening with His Holiness the Guru Pitka.
Oh. Well, it's similar to Austin Powers. Austin Powers started off as he's part of a band called Ming T.
Lead
singer of a band.
Apparently, he wore a prosthetic nose for the character both in live performances and in the film.
Oh, interesting.
And the Love Guru was in part inspired by Myers' career-long desire to make a hockey movie.
Oh.
A fan of the Toronto Maple Leafs, Myers described the film's plot as wish fulfillment, saying, "I figure the only way that my team will win a cup is if I write it." That's hilarious.
That is very funny.
Apparently, I'm learning all sorts of things. Apparently, he appeared in the 7th season finale of American Idol as Pitka.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's how you knew.
Spiritual director of that show.
That's how you knew. That's how you knew that he thought that character was going to be huge. Because he was doing appearances as that character. That's how you know a character or an actor thinks that a character he's gonna do big. Same thing with Sacha Baron Cohen, the director or the dictator. Like it's Borat. It's why Borat always, you can tell if they're comfortable enough to do that character like that they could just be in character, then they think that character is going to be successful, which makes it funny that he wasn't, and it killed his career.
So unsurprisingly, a lot of Hindus were not happy with the portrayal of the film.
Of course not. Why would they be?
Although other Hindus, such as an official statement from the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, gave the film a cautious welcome, saying the film does not intend to hurt religious sentiments, which I argue it absolutely did at the time.
Well, okay, but the thing is, the movie at the end of it was like, no, he is a hawk, like the joke is never that he's a white guy culturally appropriating something for like a scam or a con. The movie's like, no, he's the good guy and he's right. That's what, like, if at the end of the movie it's like, no, I'm just a regular guy and this is all a ruse to sell shit, then maybe the movie would have been better received.
Right? But no, it very much is like the entire thing throughout the movie is he wants to be the next, what was it, Dalai Lama or something?
Deepak Chopra.
Deepak Chopra, thank you. And the entire thing is that he's like, his mentor wants him to love himself. And so the fact that at the end he ends up with Jessica Alba and is like continuing on with his sham,
right?
Kind of just feels like it misses the point.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Of its of its own movie.
Right.
But yeah, no, this movie's bad, man. This movie got 10% or 13%. I think it deserves a 0.
0. Dropping it to
That's
a 0. Jordan's first 0.
That's what I think it deserves.
Wait.
I honestly.
Wait. Jordan's first 0. Jordan's first 0.
Of the movies I've seen in my life, I'm gonna go bold with this statement.
Bold.
Of the movies I've seen in my life, I think this is the if there's a top 5 worst movies, I think this is in that top 5.
All right, respect it.
It's bad. It's racist. It's offensive.
Respect
I'm not Hindu, and I'm offended watching this movie.
I have Hindu friends. Please stop doing this. Stop killing your career, Michael Myers. Stop it. Stop it. You're killing it.
And you're talking. It's funny because you say there's certain movies where it's like, how did you convince such person to be? How did you convince John Oliver or Jessica Alba or
John
any
Oliver's,
of the people
John Oliver's in that movie?
John Oliver is in that movie. He's basically the Guru Pitka's manager.
Oh, I feel like he's made jokes about that movie being in that movie and how terrible it is.
He's Dick something is the character's name.
2008. That might be pre. John Oliver might not be famous yet. That might be pre Daily Show. I don't know when he started doing the Daily Show.
I know when I saw him in this movie, I was like, oh shit, it's John Oliver.
Yeah, no. My thing was how did you get Justin Timberlake to agree to this? Although I guess being the guy who has a massive penis, I mean, who wouldn't want that?
It's funny because until you just said that was Justin Timberlake, I didn't really. I didn't.
I guess that must mean he's put it in a good performance then, I suppose.
I didn't really notice that.
Jordan, please tell me that's all you have to say about the Love Guru.
I mean,
we can all move on with our lives.
I could complain about it all day, but I mean, I will say. Sorry, one final thing. You know how we sometimes say there are jokes from movies that we have just kind of incorporated into our lives?
Yeah.
There is a joke from this movie that I didn't even realize it was from this movie, which I have incorporated into my life.
What's that?
So, the coach of the Maple Leafs in this movie is Vern Troyer.
Yeah.
The little person.
Yeah.
There's a point where he says something to the Love Guru. The Love Guru is just a massive dick dam in the entire movie.
That's a big word for you. That's
yeah.
I took that from that movie, and then you took that from me.
Yeah, that's a joke that I have incorporated into my life.
Word for you.
That's a big word for you.
Yeah. No.
It's so offensive, but it made me laugh.
Oh, the one where I can't remember the setup. I just remember that the punchline is, and now the joke is in your hands. Oh, I got that now. It's
the run up to that is he's like it makes me think of these words of wisdom that I read on the bathroom stall in such and such place, where it's like the joke the joke is this, and the joke is also in your hands.
Yeah.
Oh, I just got that.
I just got that. Anyway, Love Guru, is that it?
Oh, it's so bad, man.
So okay, Jordan, it's time for one of Justin's classic hot takes, because I'm talking about Batman and Robin. And here's the hot take, Jordan. I don't think it's the worst Batman movie. In fact, I enjoyed a great deal of it. Was there parts I didn't care for? A little bit. But when you understand that the intention is to be goofy, and when you've just been inundated with dark Batman, it's a nice change of pace to have a Batman who's has a sense of humor, or is sort of kind of more lighthearted, and isn't he still is serious, but he's not ultra serious. It's way more enjoyable than I think it's a better movie than Batman Returns. That's my hot take. I've said it. I'm saying it right now on this podcast. I'm turning this into a short. Batman Returns is worse than Batman and Robin. I'm staking that. It's my hot take.
Batman Returns. Batman Robin. So, okay. Let's unpackage this. Batman and Robin, refresh me. Was that Val Kilmer?
No, that's Batman Forever. Batman and Robin is George Clooney. Oh, don't get me wrong. George Clooney's still the worst Batman.
Okay. So this is full on bat nipples.
This is bat nipples. This is Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze, and it's funny because he gets top billing, which is hilarious because he's kind of not really. This is really more of a Poison Ivy's really more of the main villain in this. Than she's really the driving force of most of the drama. Bane is also there, and him and Mr. Freeze are kind of on the same level of they just kind of end up working for Poison Ivy.
So my brain is feeling a little fuzzy at the moment. Batman Returns.
Penguin.
That is Val Kilmer.
No, that's still Michael Keaton. Val Kilmer is the Riddler and Two-Face.
Okay. I don't remember those. So this is where I'm going to trust your judgment on this, and I can't call you out on whether or not these hot takes are hot. Because I don't remember those movies. We're going to have to find an excuse for me to watch those movies.
Yeah, we'll have to. Well, I mean, what's really kind of funny is we did a show on Batman Day, and that would have been an ample opportunity to, and that I didn't realize until after we'd already done it, that, dang it, this is why I'm starting to plan out my episodes a bit further in advance, so that, like, anyway.
Search engine optimization?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, why didn't we do Batman episodes? There's tons of Batman shit I haven't seen. Anyway,
because I don't remember those movies nearly. I think the last time I watched those movies, I was probably like 11.
It's like watching I mean, it's not as good as the Saturday morning. Like, don't get me wrong, it's still not a very good movie. You still got like that credit card and the really funny line reads from Arnold Schwarzenegger, and some of the dialogue is hokey, and
like I have to be honest, my memory of the older Batmans. I remember the Sega video game more than I remember the movie.
It's one of those ones you're aware you watched it, but you don't really remember. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I don't have like any distinct memories of it, so it's hard for me to.
Like if you're like so
this is where I'm gonna when this ultimately becomes a short, I'm gonna throw it to the people that are watching this. Tell me whether or not he's right. Is this a hot take?
I will definitely get in trouble, I'm sure. I've already have on threads for saying that Batman Returns ruined Batman, which I thought was funny. I got into a huge argument with someone on there.
And if your comments are engaging enough, maybe next time we'll read it here.
We might read it here. But no, yeah, I didn't think it was that bad. I thought it was fun. As long as you understand its intention, and it's meant to be silly, and it's meant to be goofy, and it's sort of meant to be an homage to the Adam West Batman. I'm like, this is like, it's got Saturday morning cartoon vibes to it, and it's fun. It's not miserable and awful, and like, when they're fighting, when Batman and Robin are fighting guys, and they're using all their different gadgets, those scenes are kind of fun.
I don't think it's inherently bad to have a Batman. I think in our day, in the 2020 that we're in currently, people have gotten a little bit too used to the Batman is always dour and serious and grim. And it's like, no, like if you even go back to like the animated Batman 90s animated
show. Not every one of his episodes was grim.
He's capable of like being fun. Yeah. You can be fun with him.
Like, yeah, exactly.
And so to have a movie which kind of appeals to that side of him more, that doesn't instantly make it bad. Now, bat nipples, I think we could all do without.
Yeah, didn't love that. Didn't love but I enjoyed it for what it was. So this is one of those ones where this is why we originally it was going to be under 10%, but I wanted to watch Batman and Robin, so it's got 13% on Rotten Tomatoes. I think it's firmly a 20 to 25% movie. Like, it's still rotten. Don't get me wrong. It's a bad movie. Like, honestly, I'm excited for whatever the James Gunniverse does to Batman, because I think a Batman with a bit of schmaltz will be interesting. But this is too much. But I don't think it's the worst Batman movie. I think the worst Batman movie is Batman Returns, and I stand by that.
I can't. Yeah, I haven't watched them recently enough to call you on that.
Is that it for the have scenes?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, it's haven't scenes time.
Okay, so. I watched a movie called The Circle, which it's Emma Watson. It has Tom Hanks in it, and essentially, sorry, throat's getting sore. essentially, do you like Black Mirror, Justin?
I do enjoy Black Mirror.
Then I think you'd enjoy this movie.
I recall the trailer looking interesting.
Because basically, I mean, how do I describe it? It's what our world is. It's social media stepping over its bounds and getting way too Orwellian, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, okay.
That's why I say it's very much like a Black Mirror episode where it's like, yeah, you have this social media company who wants more and more transparency, as they would say it, where there's nothing hidden, there are no secrets. You are online, and so it follows Emma Watson, where she in the beginning of the movie is working for a temp agency, and Karen Gillan gets her a job at this company called The Circle.
Karen Gillan, Amy Pond, Karen Gillan?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That was unexpected.
And I know it was for me too.
Surprise, Karen Gillan.
And she gets her a job at what is essentially an amalgamation of like Facebook and Google. Like that's basically what this company is. And over the course of the movie, more, I don't want to give away too much because I do think you would enjoy this and you might want to watch it.
I do want to watch it actually.
But over the course of the movie, basically, Tom Hanks's character, like the Zuckerberg or the
turns out he's sinister.
And so
big surprise.
More and more, this company is pushing for things that, sorry, I'm having a hard time forming my words here. There's a point where basically Emma Watson goes and steals a kayak, and she ends up in this like these big waves, and would have drowned, but the one of his cameras, which they've set up like all over the place, catches her doing it, and so the Coast Guard saves her life, and she agrees to go full transparency where she has the camera on her and it's on at all times, and it's sort of this narrative of like how much transparency is too much.
Interesting.
And other stuff happens, which again I'm not going to give away all of it because I want you to experience it.
Oh, see, I'm full blown going to give away both of my movies. I don't even feel bad about it.
But this movie got 16% on Rotten Tomato, and I think it deserves much higher, much higher. In fact, this is probably the only of the ones that I watched. Maybe the next one as well, but I don't think this deserves to be rotten.
All right. So it's going to be the one in all of these movies that doesn't deserve to be rotten.
I think it deserves to be whatever the border. What
I think I'm pretty sure it's 60. I'm pretty sure it's 60. Yeah.
I would say that this deserves to be like 65 then.
All right.
Where it's like how much you're going to enjoy. And what's funny is on the popcorn meter, so on the audience side, it also got 21%. So it just kind of universally wasn't liked, and I don't understand. I don't understand why, quite frankly. And maybe you'll watch it and you'll disagree with me, but like, I am. That's where I say I'm interested to hear your opinion on this, because to me it very much just felt like an episode of Black Mirror, to the point where like you could take this story and put it on Black Mirror and it would work.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, I want to see it. Is there anything else, Jordan?
I'm trying to think. My words are not as elegant today as they normally are.
We got a whole emoji movie and Super Babies to get through.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I guess that's where I'll end the circle.
Cool.
16%. I would say it should be at least 65. Even though I don't know, that feels high, but I don't think it's as bad as what this website is saying. Is I guess where I would end it.
Fair enough. Okay. Okay. Oh, fuck it. We'll do Super Babies 2 first. Super babies, because we'll end on a positive note.
I will say, sorry, one final thought about the last movie. I may be being influenced by the fact that I like Emma Watson and I like Tom Hanks.
That does make an impact. Yeah, we'll end on the positive note with the Emoji Movie. Super babies. Okay, super babies. So you're like, Baby Geniuses sounds really bad, right?
Yes.
And you're like, how bad could the second movie possibly be? It cannot possibly be any worse than the first one. Jordan, do you remember that voicemail? I sent Jordan a voice memo last night. That if I could load it quickly, I would play it for you guys. But Jordan, what did I say to you? Do you remember how I described it?
Nothing positive.
You know what? I just realized I could just do it on my phone. Okay, hold on.
Nothing positive is the summarized version.
Just realized.
Do I have any drink left? No, not really.
Super baby.
No.
But he's not really a baby. He's like a 7-year-old.
Go back to the beginning. Play from the beginning.
He's not really.
Sorry. Dang it. Give it a second. I have my phone on my volume on my phone turned down. Just gotta let it run out the time because apparently I'm stalling. This bit has gone on for way too long. Okay. Make sure my volume is up this time.
Jordan, there's a super baby, but he's not really a baby. He's like a 7-year-old. He's not really a 7-year-old. He's like a 60-year-old man trapped in the body of a 7-year-old. Life has no meaning anymore, Jordan. Life has no meaning.
So Jordan, based on that,
you sound so broken.
I felt broken, Jordan. I was exhausted. This movie's exhausting. What do you think this movie's about based on that?
They're trying to study the 7-year-old man-child?
No, you're not even close. So Jordan, this is what this movie is about. So, do you want to know what the connection is between this and the first one?
I'm guessing there's nothing. There's no connection.
No. Okay, so one of the babies, his cousin, is the babies from the first one.
Oh, it's tangential at best.
Yes, and the brother who could talk to babies, the guy who could talk to babies in the first one, it's his brother, and he's Scott Baio, and so the movie begins with the cousin telling his baby friends who are in like this daycare center, which is also observing the baby language, which everyone is now familiar with. Keep that in mind. So he tells a story of his cousin or relative who is also related to him somehow, they never explain how, called the Big Kahuna. And the Big Kahuna is a baby, but he's the one who's not actually a baby because the kid playing him, has to be like 7 years old because he's way taller and way more like, I don't know how else to describe it, but mature than the actual babies in this movie, some of which also aren't babies. They're like clearly 4 or 5 years old because they need to be bigger to do some of the stunts that they have them do in this movie. Anyway, so he tells this story about how there is this Nazi played by Jon Voight. You know who Jon Voight is?
No.
Jon Voight is Nicolas Cage's dad.
Okay.
He is a Nazi, and he's doing a horrible German accent, and he produced this movie and wanted the sequel to exist because he produced the first one for some reason. So the Big Kahuna shows up and stops this is all told via story. Stops the German guy, drinks this magic potion, becomes a super baby, and takes off. And all the rest of the kids are like, nah, dog, this didn't happen. And so Jon Voight then shows up in the real world with a different name, and the babies are all like, the one baby's like, oh, that's the character from the story. He's here, and he's a television mogul who wants to use this daycare center to create to basically create a children's television show, a version of Barney, essentially, to mind control all the kids. And so they're following this set of babies because they're being taken out by this like babysitter or sister or whatever, and they wind up with this disc that essentially proves it. So the bad guys are like chasing after these babies, and the Big Kahuna keeps saving them. And he at one point shows up and saves the lot of them and takes them to his lair, which clearly cost a lot of money because they spend this really long setup shot like showing you it. And like there's a couple of moments like there's so many moments in this movie where kids just did kid stuff and they've just dubbed over them. So like there's a point where like the kid's helping the other kid into the into like a boat, and you could just see like they've just overdubbed them weirdly. Oh, also both of these movies have bad CGI mouths. You know, like the CGI mouths from like Dr. Dolittle with the animals?
Yeah.
It's like that, but 1,000 times more horrifying.
This movie sounds bad, Justin.
And so the main super baby, he puts the other super babies into this machine that turns you into whatever is in your deepest heart. So all the babies then become super babies. But then the super baby has like hologram technology. So like he tells the parents that the kids are, it's all very bad, Jordan. I don't know if you've gotten this already. It's very bad. But I will say
I need you to end this, Justin. This is painful.
Okay, so flash forward to the end. Turns out, Jordan, that John Voight is actually the brother of the super baby, who has been alive since like World War I. So he's not really a baby. He's like a very old man who just never ages.
So what that makes me think of is you remember the Doctor Who episode, the new one, like in the new season, where the Doctor and Ruby Sunday find the space babies. Where it's like they're not really babies, but like they look like babies.
Kind of a similar situation where it's like when he was a kid, at first you don't know who it is, but somebody tries to steal this potion and they explain it quite well. I will give it credit. It's a potion that the Big Kahuna's dad made, where it was meant to be like a super vitamin, which he could give to the soldiers so they would never get hungry. So that they could so that they would be.
Is he actually called the Big Kahunas, or is that just what you're calling him?
No, that's what his name is. That's what this character's name is. He's called the Big Kahuna.
Oh my God! Why? No.
And so
okay.
This
Continue.
This serum, it turns into it ends up that it just basically prevents you from aging. And so someone in the middle of the night tries to steal it and ends up breaking it, and the Big Kahuna ends up drinking it, and that's how he becomes this endless, he never ages creature. And so like when he's 18, but he still looks like he's like, again, I maintain he looks like a 7-year-old, but I don't know, he might be younger. But he still looks like a baby. And this is where it gets confusing, because there's still this discussion of this baby language that adults can't understand.
This is where it gets confusing.
Well, okay, so he speaks both baby and adult language. The Big Kahuna.
So, okay. See, what that makes me think of, except this is much more poorly done, but what that makes me think of is Angelica from Rugrats.
Kind of.
Who somehow both speaks baby and to the adults.
But when she speaks to the adults is completely unaware of the fact that, or has no awareness of the fact that the babies are sentient. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird in Rugrats. But here it's like the babies have been identified as having their own language and having access to like the secrets of the universe. And now you have a translator, and he just at the end of the movie is just kind of like, I have to leave now. You all no longer have superpowers. Bye, everybody. and there's my favorite. Sorry, everybody. My favorite character is Justin Chatwin, who is his assistant, who helps him out, and because the whole thing is the Big Kahuna, after his dad dies, nobody believes that he's actually an adult, and so he gets sent to an orphanage, and he decides to use his superpowers to like save orphans and kids who are in trouble. And so Justin Chatwin, the guy who plays Goku in Dragon Ball Evolution, he's there as his assistant, who the Big Kahuna saved him as a kid and essentially raised him. And so at the end of the movie, the Big Kahuna leaves. He's like, I have to leave forever now. Bye, everybody. And the kid's mother comes in, and like they do this big hug thing. He's like, yeah, Mom, I've been living with like a guy who's perpetually a baby. It's been a weird time, Mom. It's been a weird time. Yeah, bad
Okay.
movie. Somehow worse than the first one. Incredibly, somehow worse than the first one. I was in total awe. And yes, as you could tell, now you get why I was just fully. Oh, and then the big twist is that the big TV mogul guy is actually the Big Kahuna's brother, who he sees because the whole thing is he's his arch nemesis. And it's like he's his brother, and he hates him because he was the one who was trying to drink the potion, but the other brother got it instead. So that's why he wants to like mind control all of the humans. And then in the end, he goes into the machine and he turns into a baby. And then the movie ends.
Audio listeners, I need you to know I'm shaking my head disapprovingly.
Oh, and while we're talking about baby geniuses, the one thing I forgot to mention about the last one is the ending. The ending of the first movie is so stupid. So, very long story, very short. They beat the bad guys.
It's the ending which is stupid.
Okay. In terms of filmmaking structure, it's stupid because so they beat the bad guys. It gets to the end of the movie. They do the bit where we're doing the final wrap up. We're doing the final bit of dialogue. Ha ha ha! Everyone laughs. Cut. And you know the moment where you're like, cut. Oh, it's gonna go to credits now. Instead of doing that, it does a very long music video, like from this one song. And then it just over a montage of clips of the movie I just watched. Like I saw this already. I've already watched this. Like, why are you showing this to me again? And then it ends, and then the director goes, well, a voiceover goes, cut. Okay, Sylvester, you can go home, which is the name of the baby. And then the baby walks off, and he goes, I'm not doing the sequel for less than 20 million. And which I said that's cute that they think they're gonna get a sequel, but they apparently made like 3 of these movies or 4 of them. There's another movie out after this.
Wow.
I know.
So when are you gonna do that one, Justin?
God, maybe next time we do another one of these is a rod. Maybe the next one isn't bad. It's probably bad.
No, it's probably bad.
It's probably bad.
So this one was rotten?
Oh yeah, 0%. Deserves to be that 0%. My God, it was bad.
That's fair. So, do you have anything else to say about Super Baby Genius, Baby Genius?
Let's do your last. Let's do your haven't seen.
My last have not seen is called Special Correspondence.
Bad.
It got 16% on Rotten Tomato. No, I don't think it's bad. I think it depends on how much you like Ricky Gervais.
Oh, fair. No, that's fair.
Because this movie was written, directed, and stars Ricky Gervais. It was a Netflix one. Apparently it's and I didn't know this. Apparently it's a remake of a French film. I'm gonna butcher the French pronunciation here, called Envois Très Spéciaux.
All right.
So basically the plot of it.
Not gonna challenge your French.
Short version. They both work for this radio station. Ricky Gervais and the other main guy.
Is this the one where it has the clips and they're interviewing like cancer patients?
Eric Bana, I think the guy's name is.
Eric Bana.
Is
the Hulk.
Is he?
B-A-N-A? B-A-N-A? Yeah, it's the Hulk. Whoa, making noise.
When was he the Hulk?
Eric Bana, he's the 2003 Hulk.
Oh. Okay, I didn't know that. Anyways, that would explain why he looked familiar.
Yes. It's also in Funny People.
They're both Eric Bana is like a reporter for this radio station, and Ricky Gervais is supposed to be like the sound engineer, basically. And their boss sends them to or wants to send them to where was it? Some country where there's supposed to be a war. And Ecuador. It was Ecuador. And Ricky Gervais's wife is gonna leave him, and she's a total unpleasant character. He writes this whole letter about like, "Whoa, I love you. You shouldn't leave me." Yada yada yada. And the reporter guy's character is like, yeah, no, don't give her that. Don't be a bitch. Basically, go on this. Don't tell her. Make her worry. Yada yada yada. So Ricky Gervais' character ends up accidentally throwing away their tickets and passports, so they can't go to Ecuador. So then a large bunch of the movie is them basically hiding across the street from their where their radio station is with two of Ricky Gervais's friends who are a Spanish couple, which is America Ferrera and Raul Castillo, whatever. And sorry, using Ricky Gervais's character's sound engineering abilities, they basically fake that they're in Ecuador for a big chunk of this movie, and like they're lying and stuff. But Ecuador had their borders closed, so like it's a big deal that they managed to get there. And then they make up stuff, and things go off the rail, and then they have to fake their own kidnapping. And then they end up actually getting to Ecuador without their passports and stuff, and then actually get kidnapped, and then escape, and then end up going to the embassy and making it back. And meanwhile, the ex-wife or the wife has been getting famous off of the fact that Ricky Gervais' character was kidnapped. And there's this whole plot line of Ricky Gervais. There's a girl at the office that they work at where he actually likes her, and so by the end of the movie they end up like getting rescued. For those who can't see on the audio version, I'm doing air quotes.
Doing air quotes.
And
I'm also doing
at the end of the movie, they get away with it, and he leaves his terrible ex-wife and ends up pursuing an interest in this other girl, and there's really no consequences for the actions that they have done in this movie. This movie got 16% on Rotten Tomato, and how much you like it is ultimately going to depend on how much you like Ricky Gervais, because this is definitely a Ricky Gervais movie. Like every you know exactly what I mean when I say that. You can picture exactly what that entails.
I absolutely can.
So I like Ricky Gervais. He has my kind of style of humor. So for me, I don't think this deserves a 16%. I would say that this, it's not
solid 20%.
No, higher.
Solid 30%.
I would give it like 40 to 50.
All right.
Like, it's okay. It's middle of the road. It's not like The Invention of Lying.
I quite like that.
Or like one of his like top tier ones, but it's not bad.
I quite like The Invention.
The audience rating for it is 30%, and like, I don't know. I'd give it a solid middle of the road. Like, it's not bad. If you like Ricky Gervais, you'll probably enjoy this one.
Yeah.
If you don't like Ricky Gervais, his influence is all over it, and you're gonna hate it.
Pretty much.
So that's kind of where I would. That's kind of where I would end it with that one. It's fine.
Is it time to finally talk about the Emoji Movie?
I mean, if we must.
See, Jordan, you're expecting me to get into this big angry rant about how much I hate the Emoji Movie, probably, right?
Yeah.
I gotta be real honest with you, audience and Jordan. Combine those two words. I didn't hate this movie. I don't love it. Here's what I would say. The word of the day for when it comes to this movie is derivative. You've seen this movie. It's Inside Out. It's Toy Story. It's ripping off so many things I can't even list them all. Like it's derivative of so many things. And
who is this made by?
Sony Pictures Animation.
Okay.
It's not the worst things they've made. That's pretty firmly at least one or two of those Smurf movies.
I just, for whatever reason, I would have
Smurf Home Syndrome. I'm never gonna let that go.
If you had told me that this was Illumination, I would have believed you.
No, it's Sony Pictures Animation, and it's
okay. Interesting.
Okay, I guess if you haven't seen it, the premise of it is T.J. Miller is the meh emoji, but he's not good at just being meh. He's feeling all sorts of emotions, and the mechanics of this world are there's a person. His name is Alex. He's effectively our Riley, and he is the character in the real world. And the rest of the movie takes place in the phone, which is known as Textopolis. And each of the apps is its own universe. That's important. What's his name? Gene. His parents are also meh emojis, and it's his turn to go up to the box, which is where the spot where all the emojis sit, and they, if Alex chooses it, he takes a picture of them, they go into the pose, and then it goes into his phone. It's oddly complicated. And there's all sorts of emojis representing all sorts of different things. Like there's a shrimp emoji. All of the emojis you can use in your phone exist in this movie. But not all of them...
Isn't this the one where they got Patrick Stewart and he's the poop emoji?
Yes, that joke. I honestly, because I'm a juvenile and I like poop humor, I do think that joke's funny. Just there's a point where he has a son, and he's like, "We're number 2." I don't know why that made me laugh.
So bad.
But it's also like corporately cynical because like, yeah, so he basically gets called up to the big show and he fails, and he makes the kid think that the phone is malfunctioning because he doesn't work properly. And so he meets up with the high five emoji played by James Corden, and they ultimately they want to basically reprogram him so he can basically be a regular meh emoji. And they run into like a hacker emoji. And they start traveling from app to app, and they go into this like underground app where they run into all these trolls, but it's just like, that's not really how these, all right, I guess. And so then the movie just sort of devolves from them going from app to app. So at one point they go to Candy Crush, and they literally just play Candy Crush for like 2 to 3 minutes. And then another point they go to Just Dance. It's a Just Dance character, and they're doing Just Dance, and the characters are dancing, and the scene, like, nothing really happens in these movies because there's long scenes of just nothing in this movie because there's just long scenes of just nothing happening. So like, yeah, there's a big long scene of them doing Just Dance, and it's just them dancing, like that's all it is for like 2-3 minutes. And then
it feels like this movie saw Ralph Breaks the Internet.
That's the other one. Yeah, it's also Ralph Breaks the Internet. Yeah, it's that as well.
And wanted to be that.
And then there's a point where like they go into Spotify and it's them riding literal needle drops, like it's different songs. And every time they go into a new app, it makes the kid freak out because he thinks his phone is breaking. So like at one point, the Just Dance staff just starts playing music and all the kids start making fun of him. So it's a real confusing of like, wait, so the things in your phone are sentient? What does that mean? Like, it's just this real weird implications that it's not the kind of movie that it's prepared to answer those kind of, you know what I mean? Yeah. But it's if the goal of a kid's movie is to be bright colors and shapes, it's fine. Like it's mostly harmless in the sense that like if you were to put this in front of a kid, they'd be entertained. Like if that's the goal, then it works. Like if I were an 8-year-old, I'd find it funny. Like
it's cotton candy. It's sweet, but it has no substance.
Like I'm watching this from the perspective of I'm a bitter millennial, and this is a Gen Z movie. Maybe if you were a kid, you might like this. But I understand its harm, and I understand like how cynical and like corporate it is.
Corporate,
yeah, and I get that, and I understand why people hate this movie on principle. And don't get me wrong, it's bad. I don't actually know what the percentage is, but I'm guessing it's probably around.
Let's find out.
Are you Googling this?
Let's see which one of us gets to it first. With my not super fast tablet.
There it is. It is 6%. Nah, that's about right. No. I thought it was 0. I for sure thought it was 0. But I would leave it at 6%.
It has a higher audience score than I would have thought for this movie.
Yeah, 36%. Because like again, the core audience, I'm sure it's dumb, cotton candy, spoon fed, drip fed.
Like, I mean, sure, but
it's not doing anything.
But the people who are doing reviews on this website aren't those audience. It's the parents.
No,
So
no.
the fact that enough of the parents were like, you know what, yeah, it's fine.
It
That it
accomplishes
got
the goal.
36%.
It accomplishes the goal of keeping my kid entertained for an hour and a half.
Kind of impressive to me. I'm not gonna lie.
There's nothing in this that made me mad. Like, there's nothing in this that offended me in the way like that the Super Baby movie did. Because I that just made me feel dumber. I'm exhausted by the end of it. Or the Baby Geniuses, that movie made me upset. Like nothing really hit that in this. I was like, it's. I'm not gonna say it's fine because it's not. It is a bad movie, but it's not like the worst movie I've ever seen. Like it's middling. Like it's all right.
I'm looking at, and I'm only reading this because it's funny, but I'm looking at one of the critic reviews for it, and it says, one wishes that this movie could be erased from existence, but for now, let's hope that the burning wreckage acts as a warning to never, ever do this again.
Wow, that's hyperbolic.
Made me laugh.
So that's it. That's the Emoji Movie. Yeah, it's not very good, but I don't think it's the worst. So with that comes an announcement, because it's not just one assignment. I'm giving you all 4 because, as you all know, it's October next week, which means it be spooky season, yo. So we are now, for the month of October, we are the Spook of the Moment podcast for October. And so that means we're gonna cut this into a trailer. That means each week in October, we're doing a different Halloween or horror-related themed episode. So next week, it's ghosts. As long as it has a ghost in it, it doesn't have to be scary. It could be schmaltzy. It's just got to involve a ghost in some way. It's got to have a ghost. And if you can justify it as a spirit or some form of a ghost, I'll allow it. Then, on the 13th, I'm hoping that we will get to see Terrifier 3. So I want to do the Terrifier movies. So as a result, we're going to do gnarly, like violent, bloody horror movies. It's got to be violent. So that means like Saw, Hostel. Like I said, we're going to be doing the Terrifier movies. Hopefully we're going to be talking about Terrifier 3. Then on the 20th, we're going to do iconic slasher villains. I'm going to take Michael Myers and I'm going to do the Halloween movies. Jordan can do whoever he likes. He has a few weeks to decide that. And then finally, the family-friendly stuff, because we got to round it up with some family-friendly stuff for trick-or-treating coming out on the 31st. And with that, this is the moment where I'm going to shout out our friends at the Goosebumps crew, or anyone on the network. In fact, if any of those topics sound interesting, message me. You're welcome on. We're going to talk about talk about this stuff. Spook of the moment for October. Come check it out. It's going to be a good time. But with that, that's the end of the show. Jordan, where can they find you tomorrow? Because today's Sunday.
I do Spur of the Moments on Mondays. Not Spur of the Moments. I do Minecraft. Man, I'm getting my wires all mixed here.
I do Minecraft at the moment.
I do Minecraft Mondays on Twitch, Zethgore187, and also I'm part of Spur of the Moment.
It's a Minecraft I can't do the falsetto. It's a Minecraft No, can't do it.
Also, we have a Discord.
We have a Discord, which I don't know if the updated link is in this description. I don't think it is. But we have a Discord. You can tell us what to watch there. Leave a comment in the comment section. Give us some suggestions for Spook of the Moment. Ooh, I'm now hearing that. I'm realizing that maybe I should change the name for reasons I'll discuss off air. I might change the name, but those are the topics. The name might change. I'm hearing it out loud as I'm saying it. Anyway, you can email the show if you want to sponsor the show. It's justinsbusiness@gmail.com. It's in the link. I'm on TikTok. You can find me there. I do this, but shorter. And the show is also on TikTok. We're doing quite well over there. 600 views, like almost 800 views a video. We do quite well on TikTok.
You also have a Star Trek show they can watch you on.
Once again, check out The Final Frontier. That comes out every Sunday. That will be out in a couple hours, actually, the newest episode. And, yeah.